That's all I've ever wanted, man.
That's all we ever want.
You know,
as addicts.
just wanted to be somebody,
Yeah.
man. I wanted to be accepted.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel safe.
Yep.
I wanted to know that I was gonna be okay. You know, and whatever I needed to do for that to happen, then I would do it.
Yeah.
You know, and however high I needed to get, you know, to like take the edge off or give me courage, or to just simply just crush myself, because sometimes it was a self-inflicted addiction. I would do enough shit because I wanted to feel shitty, because I wanted to just drown in misery,
Yeah.
because I wanted to get in touch with pain,
Yeah.
because I couldn't get in touch with pain. Like I wasn't a crier because my daddy beat that out of me. So like that's like the dark, ugly sides of my addiction throughout my whole life, was like I had to do that, man, just to survive and have identity, you know, and that was okay with me until it wasn't okay.
Right.
Until I'm like, there's times where like I'm by myself or I'm out in the streets and selling my clothes off my back for a hit of crack.
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time in Venice Beach.
The crack got you.
The epidemic was crazy, man. Like crack took a hold of me like you wouldn't believe, man. Like
and that was the time too.
Oh yeah,
crack.
Bro. LA.
That's when crack was real.
Very real.
Very
Los Angeles
real.
crack, you know, they got Venice Beach, they call it booyah, right? You get these like big boulder 50 size pieces for like 20 bucks. Bell ringers.
And Jesus Christ.
You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Real shit.
Man, you better believe it.
All right, we are back with another episode of Get a Grip podcast. We have Drake Phillips with us today. Drake, thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
I know you're a local guy, so we know a lot of the same people. Like we actually know a lot more of the same people than I thought we did.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting.
That's right.
But let's start out with your childhood. Tell me how you grew up and what life was like for you as a kid.
Okay.
If you can.
Yeah, I can, for sure. So at the age of 7-month-old, I was 7 months in East LA. I was dropped off at the hospital called the Queen of Angels, East LA Hospital. And just these people, you know, my folks, they just dropped me off, left me there, abandoned me in the hospital. And at the time in 1973, they just, I guess they had people they would just call, you know, and say, you know, you want to come check this kid out. You know, I guess that was something that used to happen a lot.
Really?
In LA, yeah. And so yeah, this couple that my mother and my father, they're passed away now, Rufus and Elwanda Phillips, a black couple.
Okay.
They had already adopted, because my mother couldn't have kids, so they had already adopted my sister, my oldest sister, Shannon. So she was already in the house, so they wanted to give her a brother, you know. And it was just, I guess, right timing. So they called them and they said, yeah, we'll come to the hospital. They came to the hospital and they grabbed me up at 7 months old and they took me home.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was brought up in a pretty much an all black family. You know, I'm mixed. So I'm mixed with Sicilian, you know, Spanish, French. And then my dad, you know, later
I can
on,
pick up on the Sicilian a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's an affectation, you know, it's things that I've acquired over the years of survival, you know.
Yep.
You probably hear a little Spanish, you know, shit like that.
Yep.
I'm quite the fucking character, but anyways. Anyway, yeah, man, I grew up in this house, you know, the question of being black, or, you know, what that all looks like, you know, didn't come into play until I actually got a chance to understand what I'm looking at in the mirror, you know, in comparison to my mom and my dad,
Your family,
and then all of their, you know, their family and things. And my family was wealthy. My mother and my father, black entrepreneurs. And my father was he graduated from the Army Corps of Engineers. So he was really good with numbers and construction.
Okay.
My mother was a CPA. She did good with numbers.
Okay.
And my pops, he was illiterate, man. You know, he couldn't read. I mean, he couldn't write and shit, you know, but he just was hands-on.
Was he dyslexic?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Okay.
In a way, you know, but he was a genius too, you know.
Yeah.
So what he couldn't do, my mother would do, right?
Okay.
And so they formed a construction company and a boxing team. And they started off small and they kind of bubbled a little bit, bro, you know, and obviously they bubbled enough so that way they can have kids, you know, like my sister and then myself. So I grew up in our first house was in Baldwin Hills, which is like South Central Los Angeles. It's like the suburbs of South Central.
Okay.
And then we had a house there. And then we moved from that house to Ladera Heights, same area pretty much.
Okay.
And then as the company started to grow rapidly, then we moved to Beverly Hills.
Wow.
Yeah, dude.
What is that like?
I'll tell you, man, it was I mean, look, I was a kid, so what did I know, right?
Right, right.
And let me just say, I was always a challenging kid, because they don't know, and of course I didn't know what I came from, and what I inherited, like genetically, you know. So I was a motherfucker, man, So yeah, so Beverly Hills, we lived up in Benedict Canyon Road, which is like they call it the top of the world. It's like the very end of Benedict. It's way up the top. And my dad used to pride himself in buying a house, and if he didn't like it, which he didn't, he would take it and pretty much demolish it and build our own house.
Jesus.
That's the way he was. And we always had a pool, so I started swimming at an early age.
Wow.
With floaties, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And yeah, man, they really afforded us a good life,
They took care of you.
For sure, went to a private school called Le Lycée Français du Los Angeles, which is an all-French boarding school.
Okay.
And that's when I started my sister and I, because she's 5 years older than me, Shannon, that's when I started to get exposed to some of like the celebrity kids, that are.
I bet.
Yeah, because it's a kind of an elite school. It's still there to this day. And so, learning French, playing piano and shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't play anymore, and I barely speak French,
That's cool though that you were taught that.
Yeah, man. It was
like, that's neat.
Yeah, he afforded us.
You don't see that at normal schools.
For sure, yeah. So yeah, man, like some kids that were, in some movies, like the movie Never Ending Story. That kid was my childhood play friend. My sister's friends were like Jodie Foster.
Jesus.
Here's a funny story. You want to hear this?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I want to hear it.
So, and all due respect to this person too, when I mention her name, it's, to this day, in my program recovery, I have amends that I have to make, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a 9th step.
Sure.
And I think that maybe one day I'll probably be able to like make an amends to her.
When the time comes.
If it happens. But
right. Yep.
Lisa Marie Presley is my sister's childhood friend, right?
Okay.
Elvis's daughter. Now, I used to get in trouble all the time, so I couldn't have sleepovers on the weekend. And sometimes my friends could come over. So my sister was always good. She always had sleepovers, all of her friends. And one of her, the main sleepovers was always at Lisa Presley's house, right? God. Now, I didn't really know them, but I know that my dad used to always play Elvis records and shit, right? Like Michael Jackson, Elvis, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, I knew he was really big into that. And so it was kind of like locked in the back of my head that, my sister's friend is Elvis's daughter, blah, blah, blah. Her mom's Priscilla, whatever. And out of jealousy and anger, because I was grounded for the weekend, my dad's like, get in the car. We're going to go pick up your sister from her friend's house. It was like Sunday morning. And we pull up to the driveway. And here comes my sister. I'm in the back seat. My dad's sunroof's open. My pop's sitting in the front. And she's coming down with her sleeping bag. Priscilla's standing at the door, and they're walking towards the car. And I hop out of the sunroof, and I was like, "Aha, Lisa! Elvis is dead. Elvis is dead." Just shooting up, like screaming obscenity.
Whoa!
I swear, bro.
Whoa!
And my dad snatches me out of the the sunroof, and he's like,
"Fuck, are you doing?"
And he smacks me around. You know what I mean? He's like, "The fuck!" And it was like a big deal, right? My sister's getting in the car, and she's like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck you." And my dad's like, "You're gonna get it," I'm like, whatever, who gives a shit? Fuck you and fuck Lisa. You know what I mean? Because I was just jealous, right?
Yeah.
And so, to fast forward, I think it was around, I don't know, maybe 19 years old.
Okay.
There's this mall in Beverly Hills called Century City Plaza. It's an outdoor mall. Okay. My sister and I are like outdoor shopping.
Is this like an Easton type deal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
And we're walking around, and this girl pulls up on my sister, and she's like, "Oh, Shannon." And she's like, "Hey, Lisa." And I was just like, "Oh, it's one of my sister's friends. Great." We're like supposed to be shopping, and now they're going to get caught up, and they're talking, and I'm just standing there, and then my sister goes, "Oh, you remember my brother Drake?" And she looks at me, and this girl gives me like the ugliest, meanest look, right? She's like, "Oh, yeah, I remember him." And I'm like, "The fuck is your problem?" Right? I was like, one of my sister's stuck up friends, right?
Right.
So we walk away, and my sister tells me the story. She says, She goes, "Do you know who that was?" And I was like, "Nah, who was that?" She's like, "That's Lisa Presley."
God damn.
And I'm like, "Lisa Presley? Lisa Presley's like, yeah." She goes, "Do you remember what you did when you were little?" And I was like, "What'd I do?" And she told me that story. And I was like, "I did that?" She's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Fuck. What a awkward moment," right? I was like, "Oh my God, bro."
And you had your chance to apologize, but you didn't really know.
Yeah, could have, right?
Yeah.
So, that was that. Anyways, I went to that school for like 3 years. Really didn't gain much, but get in trouble all the time. And then we moved. From Beverly Hills to Brentwood, and it was in Mandeville Canyon Road. The house that my father built is still there at this address.
When you say Beverly Hills and Brentwood, how close are those? Are they similar?
Yeah,
are they...
very similar. So it's just like around Sunset Boulevard. Like you go from Beverly Hills, then you hit Bel Air, and then you hit Brentwood.
Okay.
Right. So like O.J. Simpson was like our neighbor.
Okay.
Shit like that.
Okay.
And interesting though, in these neighborhoods like Mandeville Canyon, we lived at 2301 Banyan Drive, and anyways, it's like you go in and it's a mountain. It's like called the Santa Monica Canyons, the mountains, and it's only one way in. So it's a big community up in the mountains, right? Of like a lot of, well-off people.
Yeah.
And again, my daddy, he saw a house and he didn't like it. So he destroyed it and then he built it up, and then that house is still there to this day. And there were not a lot of black people in this community. Especially mixed family, because we were all mixed. My sister's like German and black, Welsh or whatever.
I'm sure that's changed nowadays.
Oh, it's changed a lot, yeah, for sure. And so that's where most of my childhood was at, starting like from like 6 years old to 20.
Okay.
Actually 22.
Okay.
And so like all my friends were all white kids, you know what I mean? They're celebrity kids, surfers, skaters, stoners, hippies, So just to kind of get into the ugly narrative of this house and this family that I lived in. My father was an abusive man. He was addicted to violence and rage, and he would beat the shit out of me, to doing anything wrong. He'd beat my ass. And we're not talking like it started off with like a little ass whipping, and it rapidly escalated to like full-fledged hands-on. This man was manhandling me, right? Never was there any sexual abuse, but it was just like
violence,
whooping my ass. Yeah, bro. And if he wasn't doing it to me, he was doing it to my mom.
Damn.
And so he was beating the shit out of my mom. I would wake up, and I apologize if I get emotional through this,
you're okay.
But the house was not a fucking home.
Right.
It looked good on the outside. It had the earmarks of fucking, lifestyles of,
rich
and
and famous,
and
yep.
It's beautiful, and you don't need and want for shit. But the truth be told, we needed a lot, and we needed love
internally. Yeah,
we needed that compassion. We need that. We needed the love. I needed the love of a father, and he was just a hardcore man. And so I remember one night, man, I came to the kitchen and my mother was in the sink, and she's spitting out her teeth in the fucking sink, and my mother used to drink a lot. She drank to ease her pain from this guy, or she would drink to get ready for him when he came home, because she knew it was on.
It was gonna hurt
for sure.
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand my mom. My mom was always fucking drunk all the time. Like in the day she's a businesswoman. At night, straight gin. Tanqueray was her shit.
Preparing.
Yeah, man. Smoke cigarettes and preparing.
Yeah.
And so that's where, at 7, I would like sneak sips. Neighborhood kids. And you have to understand, these kids that lived in these neighborhoods, their parents, most of them really didn't give a shit about like what their kids did. A lot of time.
I believe that.
Yeah. They would go on vacations, and we all had housekeepers, like live-in maids. So the parents would go out of town and the kids would just have the whole fucking house to themselves. And so I would always find myself as this young kid with all the older homies. I would end up at their house and I would just experiment everything they had, because I guess I learned from my mom, kind of like not really consciously, you know what I mean? But I was inheriting an addiction.
Subconsciously,
yeah. That's
yeah.
yeah. And fuck. So like, I figured out how to ease my pain too.
What are you trying out?
I was smoking a lot of weed, drinking booze, a lot of weed, smoking a lot of cigarettes. I would steal my mom's cigarettes, and I'd show up at the homies.
And what age is this?
This is at 7.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's early.
Yeah, early, right? And it was cool. It wasn't like there was no bad problems. There was no issue.
Yeah. No consequences.
Oh no. These kids, they have no consequences.
Fuck no.
And then so I was introduced to coke, powder coke at 10, and
damn.
And oh man, that was my dream come true, bro. Like
really,
yeah, doing a line with some of the other homies and smoking a little, back in the day, it was like, they had indica was like the top shit, right? Smoke a little herb and drink a little booze and snort a couple lines, And
you were set.
I was set, man. It was killer. It was
took you out of yourself.
Yeah, man, and I had a lot of fun. These kids had a lot of fun. They partied hard. They lived hard.
I'm happy to hear you say that because a lot of people will come on, or not just people coming on the podcast, but I hear a lot of people say, "Yeah, I didn't have any fun when I was using," and it's like, bro, come on,
right?
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, no, that's not my.
You had some fun.
That's not my. That is my story, but it's not my story.
Yeah.
One thing you get with me, Lewis, is I'm very transparent with my life.
Yeah.
It wasn't always like that.
Of course not.
I guess like with all of us, sometimes we're afraid to tell a secret.
Sure.
Tell somebody what's really going on behind the scenes, right? Today, I don't live a life like that. I'm alive for a reason, and I appreciate everything I had to go through.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fucking fun doing some of that dark, evil shit,
Yeah.
And partying was a lot of fun, because
until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't, right?
Yeah.
But it was my way out, And so at 10, now I'm like experiencing different, like, culture, race, just the way people how they lived and how they talked and how they presented themselves. So I also, I surfed a lot. I grew up surfing.
Cool.
And so, because all my bros were doing it. And let me back up also. Early on in like elementary school, I was known to be like the school wimp, like a pussy.
Really?
Oh, fuck yeah. My dad beat fear into me. Like I was scared to fight anybody. Girls, guys, it didn't matter. So I was picked on a lot, man. And I was different because they found out there was rumors around like, one, here's that kid that gets his ass kicked. He gets abused by his dad. 2, he's weird because his parents are black.
Gotcha.
And look at him.
Gotcha.
So in the 80s, coming up in school in LA, you had to be like one race. And if you were mixed and if you were different, you got picked on,
Okay.
And if you couldn't fight, well, then you already know it was rough.
Yeah.
So I had to fend for myself. I wasn't getting my ass kicked at home, man. I was getting my ass kicked at school.
Damn.
So I wasn't winning at all. And my only escape was like ditching school or just weekend parties with all these friends that accepted me.
Where you can get away.
Yeah. And they were all older kids. So I didn't grow up around younger people. And the younger people that I did grow up with, they were like peons to me. They didn't have the mentality or the physical capability that I had because I learned some grown man shit real quick. Yeah. And I had scars to prove. Like for instance, one time there's a public school called Paul Revere, which is on Sunset Boulevard in Mandeville where I live, the entryway. And, I'm surfing and dressed like a surfer and everything. And I'm getting picked on at school. And, my dad had just whooped my ass the night before. He fucking made me, this is one of his.
Did he leave marks? Was he the type that would leave marks, or would he hit you like body shots where you couldn't see?
Yeah, no, this is what I'll tell you right now. This is what happened. So, to that point, he whipped me with a switch, that day in the backyard. He made me take my clothes off. And, I used to squirm a lot, of course, right? And he'd have this switch and like wanted to fucking whip me with it. And sometimes I would run, and we're in the backyard. We got this full size fucking swimming pool. We got a diving board. So I couldn't fucking take off and run. He tied my leg to the diving board. Yeah. And then butt naked and commenced just whipping my ass right there. What I didn't know, bro, is we had this privacy fence, the neighbor next door. There's these like little holes in the fence and shit. These neighborhood kids were watching that shit, bro. Put it like this. There were times where the screams would come out of that house. I don't know this, but these are the kids that know this. They would hear that shit. and they would scurry and like go to the side yard and try to look over the fence and try to see what's going on. Well, that day they looked through the fence and I was in the backyard tied up to the diving board, and you know, and I got my ass whipped because I popped a firework off in the backyard and one of them went into the pool and left a mark at the bottom of the pool. Yeah, so man, you know that gives you an idea of like how that shit went. The next day, fast forward, I'm in school and I was at PE. I'm in the locker room, and the PE teacher was like, you know, you need to change your regular clothes and put on your PE, you know, your gym shit.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to take my clothes off because I had whip marks all over my body.
Yep.
You know, and I'm like, I'm not doing it. And they're just like, we'll go to the principal's office. So I go to the principal's office, and there was this vice principal name is John Miller. He was a G, bro. This dude, like, he was the type of principal that cared for us and he loved us, man. Sometimes he'd let us get away with shit. Like he would bust us with our weed, and he had this drawer in his office and he'd put our pipes and put it in there. And after school, he'd give it to us, bro.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, this dude was a G, bro. I think he smoked too, right? So like he was, I totally believe that John Miller was a fucking hippie, bro. He was a stoner.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, and he was just so laid back. But anyways, he says, what's the problem? You know, and I'm crying and shit. And he goes, Drake, I'm going to ask you to do something, you know, and yeah, I need you to take your shirt off. And I fucking took my shirt off, man. And, you know, and they sees the fucking whip marks all over me and shit. And, you know, he starts crying, man. So they call the dean in the office and the principal and shit. And
fuck.
They called the LAPD, you know, and LAPD comes to school. And I'll never forget, it was one of these sergeants that, you know, later on I might get into it. Sergeant Cunningham from West LA Police Division, LAPD. He comes with a couple, you know, his cops, and they come in and they're like, let's see it. And I take my shirt off, and they're like, what the fuck? And I'm just looking at them like, help me, you know, like help me. But at the same time, I'm like, you guys have no idea how much trouble you're gonna get me into if you fucking go get my dad.
That's my thought. That's exactly, my thought. Dude.
So like, I was scared, man. Like they're about to call my dad
because they're gonna call. Yeah.
Yeah.
And guess who's gonna get the fucking whooping?
Me.
You.
So they call my pop, and from his office says, you need to come down and come to the school and come get your kid. So he comes, and then when he gets there, they bring him to the office, and he's standing there and he's looking at me. And my dad's like 6'2", big black guy, man. And he's a massive motherfucker, bro. And
scary guy.
For sure, man. And the way he did business and the way he was in LA, he was known in all of Los Angeles, man, all of Southern California as Rufus Phillips, black entrepreneur, somebody you just don't fuck with, right? And he had a lot of money and a lot of connections, right? Because we had a boxing team and a construction company. So anyway, yeah, dude, he comes in there and they're like, you know, this your son? He's like, yeah. He goes, so, you know, what's going on here? And he's like, you know, whatever. They said, let's talk to you outside. So they take him outside, they talk, they come back in and they look at each other, and everybody kind of like staring at each other. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And John Miller, the vice principal, looks at me with tears in his eye and he goes, I'm sorry. And I'm like, you sorry for what? Like, what's going on? He's like, you got to go home with your dad. I'm like, he's not going to jail? And he's like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, Drake, but you got to go with your dad. And next thing you know, I walk out from the principal's office, man, like out there in the, like leaving out of the school, and my dad's fucking shaking hands with the cops and shit. And I'm like,
give me a fucking break.
Right, dude. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Give me a fucking break.
I'm like, this is weird. What the fuck's going on? And they look at me, the cops look at me, and Sergeant Cunningham, he was a dick. He looks at me and he's like, yeah, you're going to go home with your dad. And next time, he's like reprimanding me for fucking telling, right? And he hated me anyways because I was a delinquent kid. I terrorized the fuck out of these neighborhoods, you know. Because I ran away from home, too. I forgot to mention that. At 10 years old, I started running away, you know, because my mother used to run away, so I learned how to run away, too. So I'd hop out of the window and just go with my older homies and just go off to their houses and party until I get caught by the LAPD. Sure. And so, yeah, I go home. And he didn't kick my ass that day for that, right? But he grounded me. But I didn't want to find out, like, when he was getting ready to.
Yeah.
So I ran away to go home again, you know. And so during this part of like 10 years old to 17, I'm running away. I'm in and out of juvenile hall, in and out of like juvenile camp.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Jail life was embedded into me early on too.
What was juvie like?
Juvie in California. So my first spot that I went to as a youngster was East Lake Men's Central Juvenile Hall. Still there to this day. It's a war zone. It's gangland. And
Young kids just fighting.
I mean, you name it. And you know, they had kids that are doing adult life. So they're like 18, 19, still locked up with us.
Don't give a fuck.
No, bro. And they were like the big homies of juvenile hall.
Yeah.
And
they're not going home.
No, they're not going home. They're going to change hands from like, they have youth authority, you know, like YA. And once you get old enough, you go to YA, you know, you like, you know, whatever. So, yeah, man, I in and out. And every time I got out, I go home. Dad is the same way. Mom's the same way. Shit's going on.
Fuck.
So, you know, I'd run away again, man, you know, just running away. You know, a lot of the homies would call me El Conejo, the rabbit, you know, because I would just bounce, you know, and I always had somewhere to go, man. And if I didn't have somewhere to go, then I would just sleep in a sleeping bag in the canyons and shit, like Brentwood, Palisades, Santa Monica.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Or I would sleep in this newspaper bin, at this massive newspaper bin where it's like recycled newspapers.
Yeah.
It's huge. And it would be like half full all the time. So I would go in there and I would dig out a body size hole.
Not too uncomfortable, yeah.
Not at all, bro.
No.
It was the safest place ever.
Yeah.
You know, and I would put my sleeping bag in there and then I would get in it. And then I'd pull the newspapers on top of me. So that way if somebody looks in, they wouldn't see me, you know. And so, or I would.
Smart.
Right. Or I would break into like some of my friends, these rich kids, you know, I'd break into their houses when they're at school and their parents are at work. So I'd break into their house and shit. Or I didn't even have to break in. Some of their houses would be unlocked.
Yeah.
And because I knew all these kids and like I partied with them and how they, you know, how they lived, you know, it wasn't hard to do that, you know.
No.
So I'd go in there, I'd take a shower, I'd go in their refrigerator, raid their refrigerator, load my backpack up,
Eat something.
Yeah, eat something. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. So I'm like, I'm in and out doing that, and I'll back up a little bit. So in junior high at Paul Revere, you know, I was known to be getting bullied all the time, right?
Yeah.
And one day I'm on my way up lunch period. We would go to the top of the school, which is where the football field is at, right? Soccer field. And there's this tree. All the stoners in the surface, we would smoke weed, smoke our little pipe, pack our little pipe and smoke. Yep. And on my way as usual, there's a spot by the tennis courts, these bleachers where all the essays, you know, the vatos would hang out.
Okay.
Now, in all of these schools, the essays were known, like they were known as the ones that you don't fuck with, right? So but they always like just chilled and they were deep, right? And what I found out is they're the 18th Streeters, you know, 18th Street gang, right?
Okay.
Which is one of the biggest in, you know, United States and the world.
Okay.
Which are arch enemies with the MS-13, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but before the MS-13 was MS-13, it was la MS, Mala Salvatrucha. And so
because I've heard of MS-13, but I've never heard of this gang.
And it's so funny too because how like in El Salvador, you know, they got 18th Street and MS in that place called Cr4ck, then that big massive prison.
Okay.
Where you see the guys running out in their boxers, right? They got them all together, you know what I mean?
God damn.
So, but yeah, anyways, so these homies would be chilling there and I'm walking by and they're like, "Hey, Holmes." I'm looking over, I'm like, "Fuck, bro." Like, not these guys, bro. I'm already going through it. Like, no,
please,
man.
no.
And I'm trying to like walk by and they're like, "Hey, Holmes, I'm talking to you, homie." And I'm like, "Hey, what's up, dude?" They're like, "Fuck, come here, Holmes." And I'm like, "No, bro." I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "Just come here, homie. Come here. I want to talk to you." So I'm like, I don't have a choice, you know, like I don't want it with these dudes. So I walk over and this homie walks up and he's like, "Hey, homie, what's your name?" And I was like, "My name is Drake." He's like, yeah, Holmes. And they're all sitting there and they're smiling and they're all smoking J's and shit.
Yeah.
And this girl standing there, her name was Veronica, right? And she was like the finest Mexican girl in the school, bro.
Oh.
I had a couple classes with her, right? When I went to class.
Latinas are the best.
Yeah, dude, Latina. And
God.
She was bomb, bro. And I'm trying not to look at her. And he's like, he said, "You know this girl, Holmes?" And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, "Yeah, man, homie, that's my sister, dog. And you know what I mean? She likes you." And I'm like, "Well, that's fucking good for her." You know? I'm like, "Yeah, she likes me. Like, what does this mean?" And I'm like, "Well, okay, what's up?" And they're like, well, check it out, homie. She wants to go with you, dog. You know, she wants to be your girlfriend. She wants you to be her boyfriend.
Whoa.
And I'm like,
what a twist.
Right, bro? So I'm like, kind of, at first, you know, like, one half of me is kind of like, trick no good. Like, I ain't going for that, right?
right.
And the other half was like Veronica?
Fuck
I'm like,
yeah.
fuck yeah, right? And the homies, I'm like, all right. So fast forward, man, they're like, yeah, dog, you know, as long as you guys are going together, and do you want to go with her? I'm like, she's looking at me smiling, and she's like, do you? And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, all right, then we're together. I'm like, right on. So,
wow.
We're kicking it. We're hanging out and shit. Like, I'm over there and I'm super nervous. I'm just sitting there like, what is going on, right? I'm like, okay. So before like lunch periods, a couple of the homies, Coyote and Midget from 18th Street, right? They're like, hey, homie, this is tomorrow, and every day you come to school, dog, this is where you kick back.
This is your spot.
This is your spot. This is where you're at, and you and the homegirl, you know what I mean? Your girlfriend, Veronica, you're right here. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, and guess what else? I'm like, what's up? They're like, all those days of you getting bullied, homie, that shit's ends now.
Over with.
That's over. You're with us now. I'm like,
fuck yeah.
I almost want to cry, man. I'm like, fuck, are you serious? You know, I'm like, wow. I'm like, and they go, and another thing, you ain't going to be pulling up wearing that shit either. Because I was dressed like a surfer.
Yeah.
Like, so we got something for you tomorrow. I'm going to bring you some clothes. I'm like, all right. Next day I come to school, bro. Sure as shit. The homies pull up on me, Midget and Coyote. They're like, unzip a backpack, and it's a Gangster startup kit and shit, bro. It's fucking Dickies and creased up Dickies and shit, bro, right? A fucking hairnet, a palm comb, Tres Flores, which is a grease that they use, right? 3 flowers and shit.
Okay.
It's from Argentina. It smells fucking amazing. It's got the most distinct smell to a hair grease. You can tell it from a mile away, bro.
Really?
Yeah. So they gave me a jar of that, palm comb, hairnet, some Lokes, Dickies, a Pendleton, like a button up. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
A Pendleton, and then I also had a Raiders jersey because that's what they represent.
Yep.
So I had the Raiders jersey with the 1-8 on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Some Nike Cortez shoes and shit.
Damn.
Yeah, bro. And then a blue rag or a black rag that was already pressed. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, yeah, go to the bathroom and put that shit on. And it fit me because it's the homie's clothes, right? And he's my size.
Yeah.
So I come out and I'm in the bathroom, and the homie's like teaching me how to like slick my hair back and shit. Throw a hairnet on. Throw the Lokes on, button it up, and put the other shit in the backpack. I come up to the yard. I hit the fucking schoolyard, dog. I was unrecognizable, bro. I'm walking out, and they're like, "Okay, dog, you gotta like walk like that, dog, like you're a man and shit. You know what I mean? You're a gangster." and I'm like, and everybody in the fucking school, bro. This is like, I hit the yard like at recess, you know, because it was early.
Yeah.
I hit the yard, and everybody's just like,
what the fuck?
And everybody's just whispering and talking. They're like, look at Drake. What the fuck's going on? And then other people are like, some dudes are yelling like, that ain't going to save you, dog. We're going to get you. And the homies are like, yeah, bring it, homie.
Bet.
He's with us. He's with
bet.
us. And I'm looking at them. I'm like, you guys going to protect me, right? And they're like, we got you, homes. They ain't shit going to have. If they want it, they can get it. And I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, they don't want that. That's a different kind of problem.
They don't want none of that.
That's a different kind of problem.
Big problems, right? So, but I don't know this shit. I'm just like, whatever, right?
You're just going with it.
So, to let you know, is like now, if I wasn't ditching school and going to like the rich areas, then I would go on ditch parties with the homies to like the hood, where the real 18th Street homies, where they're kicking it. They had a park called Rainier Park off of Robertson Boulevard in West LA. That was like TMS neighborhood. So 18th Street was like, is the biggest in Southern Cal next to White Fence.
Okay.
And, what made them so big is they had cliques in all parts of LA. So you had like 18th Street, the hood that I was from was TMS, Tiny Malitos. So that's Rainier Park. And then you had LLS, Little Locos, you know what I mean? PWS, Pee Wee Winos, you know what I'm saying? Like they're all the North Hollywood Locos, you know what I mean?
Jeez.
Tiny Lokes, you know what I'm saying? Pico Rivera, Little Psychos, you know what I mean?
God.
I mean, it's spread abroad, bro, all over. And I didn't know this shit. I didn't know how big these guys were.
Yeah.
So, I would do these ditch parties, man, and go off with them. And some of the older homies would pick us up in their lowriders and shit, you know what I'm saying? And we'd pile up in the back, little shits in the back, you know what I mean? All G'd up with the hairnets on, listening to like oldies,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Bumping sounds, or listening to like Zap Band, Roger Troutman, you know, like more bounce and shit.
Okay.
Like booms, booms, you know what I mean?
Okay.
We're back there just like, yeah, homes, and they're passing the, you know, what they call yes, God, you know what I mean? The weed and shit.
Yeah.
You know? So they'd pass it around, and we, you know, and then we hit the bottle a little bit like a 40 or whatever, or Night Train with Kool-Aid packs in it, you know? And, yeah, man.
What is that? Night Train with Kool-Aid packs.
So Night Train is like Mad Dog 2020 in the hood.
Okay.
It's like
okay.
it's like a shitty wine, right?
And you add Kool-Aid packs to it.
To get a little flavor,
Okay,
right?
I
Like
got
cherry
you.
Kool-Aid,
Okay.
right? And so like, yeah, that's the hood wine.
Okay.
Gangster
I got
wine
you.
is
I got
what
you.
it was, right?
I got you.
But it's strong like Mad Dog.
Yeah.
It gets you faded, right?
Yeah.
And so we would pull up to the park, homie, and we'd be there, and we would just be like chilling with the older homies, you know, like middle of the week, midday, chilling.
Did you feel like you finally belonged at that point?
Kind of.
You
Still,
were getting there?
I guess my fear was that my parents would find out, or like, you know, I would get busted, like I'd get caught with these guys.
Yeah.
As opposed to like getting caught in like the rich areas was
Right.
like slap on the hand kind of, you know what I mean?
Whatever.
But then that sense of security that, you know, like the rich kids, they were kind of tough, but they weren't tough.
No.
So that sense of security that I had with these homies, man, were almost kind of like, I wasn't scared of my dad a little bit, because I felt like these older homies were like my dad's age, you know, and these were real fucking gangsters and real killers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I looked up to them big time. I mean, I would sit there in the park sometimes smoking weed, and some of these homies would be smoking sherm. You know what sherm is, right?
What is sherm?
Sherm is, they call gorilla piss. It's like getting wet. Have you ever heard that sound? Like when you want to
No.
get wet. So it's they call it gorilla piss, formaldehyde. You know.
Okay. Do you like in a
So
rag?
you take these you would take Cool Filter King cigarettes, right?
Okay.
And you would take these cigarettes, and it's a bottle. It's embalming fluid, is what it is, bro.
Oh.
Yeah, and you would dip your cigarette in it,
And
right?
smoke it.
And then you fire it up, and it'd light on fire, and be like, you'd be like, and then you'd hit it, and it would turn you into a fucking monster, bro.
Really?
I'm talking about the level of like, almost like taking a super shot of steroids, but like the craziest form.
I had never heard of that in my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Some Cleveland cats are very familiar with it. Guys in Cleveland, they get wet. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And they know what that is, right?
Okay.
People know, like if you ever seen the movie Training Day, you know, and Denzel tells Jake in the car, he's like, I didn't know you like to get wet, homie.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that's like getting wet, right?
Okay.
So they would pass that around. It smells terrible too, right?
I'm sure it does.
So they would be passing that around, and
Where the fuck are they getting embalming fluid?
I have no idea, bro. To this day, I don't know where you even get that shit,
What
right?
the fuck?
But that's a known thing in LA too. The guys, homies are still doing that shit, right? So, anyways, and I did coke, you know, so I was already, you know, like, I was already built to party because of the other kids.
Right.
You know, so there wasn't nothing I was afraid to try,
Sure.
you know. And then, yeah, man, one day there's like, you know, hey, Holmes, you know, this was so far back, man. They're like circling up, like my younger homies and shit. They're like circling up at the direction of the, you know, the big homies, and they're popping top. They're taking their shirts off and shit. You got music playing in the background, and all these, the cholas, which are the Mexican gangster girls. You know what I mean? They're like dancing and shit. They got their hair all hairsprayed and flied up. You know what I mean? And they're like, and the homies are like taking their shirt off, and they're like huddling up, and they're looking at me, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, did I do something wrong? You know what I mean? And so the big homie, he says, hey, Holmes, come here. And I was like, what's up? They're like, welcome to the familia, homie.
It's time.
They're like, you know, we love you, dog. You know, we got your back. You know that, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm on the verge of tears, dude, because.
Is it initiation time?
Yeah, dude, because these dudes are cracking knuckles. These little homies, like my friends, my little bros, from like smiles to looking like demons, bro. And they're just staring at me like, yeah. And I'm like, what's wrong? What happened? And they're like, nothing happened. Just calm down, Holmes. Serio, just relax. And I'm like, well, just tell me what I did wrong. I'm sorry. They're like, you don't got to be sorry, dog. We're about to put you on right now. And I'm like, put me on to what? And they're like, you got to get your beat down, dog. You're going to come into the hood. And I was like,
Yep.
No. I'm like, hell no. I'm like, no, please, no. Long story short, done, right? Take my lumps.
Yep.
Dust me off. The homies are embracing me. love you, dog. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Welcome to 18th Street.
Okay.
And like now you're from 18. You know
You're
what I mean?
in.
And I'm like, the fuck does this mean?
Means you're fucking in, dog.
I'm like, this doesn't make it. You just beat my ass for what?
You're in.
Yeah, you know, and the reason why they do that is because they want to get you ready for like action.
Yeah.
You can't have any fear when you roll with these dudes because shit is on site.
Right.
And these are the 80s, man, in LA. So, you know, this is on site. These are when like you ride the bus, you're walking on the street, you're at the mall, you're at the beach. It doesn't fucking matter. At school, you go to juvenile, you got a rival, you got beef, you got completos, you got problems, you know what I mean, with anybody. You have to get them up, even if you're outnumbered.
Handle it now.
I don't give a shit if it's 20 to 1.
Handle it.
You got to
now.
represent your hood, and if you don't man up, then you know
Bad.
then it's slow for you, bro.
It's bad.
So so that's why they do that. You know what I mean? Is to get that courage out of you, you know.
Yeah.
And they knew too that I was like an abused kid, so they knew that because they already knew the backstory about me being bullied in school and how they all met me anyway.
Yeah.
So truth be told, they for sure wanted to make that a life for me, right?
Yeah.
That I would never have to worry about my dad or anybody ever again. So I'm in and out of juvenile hall, man, and juvenile camp. I'm representing 18 and shit to the fullest. You know, going to the mall, hitting the streets of LA, mobbing down the street with the homies, just bailing around with the jerseys on and shit, you know what I mean? Throwing up the E and shit, you know what I mean? Like,
Damn.
18th Street, homie, you know what I mean? Just blah, blah. I know how to stack and shit, like you be stacking your hood and all that shit, like West Side, boom, 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 you know what I mean? Like,
I see that.
I'm like, yeah, dog, what's up? And then homies would drive by, we're like, what's up, fool? Where you from, dog? I'm like, from 18th Street, dog. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? We're around the corner. And then, you know, we would just meet off to the corner on the bus. We'd be on the bus, bro, and they'd be like, you know, you just know. Because we're in the 18, you know what I mean? And we're known in West LA. Everybody knows who's who. Especially if you're running with certain ones that are with you.
How old are you now?
This is all this is a crunch, man, between 10 and 19. Okay. So this is like all happening in there, right? Now I'm in and out now, right? Because I have the best of many worlds, bro. So if I was tired of kicking it with the homies, then I go kick it with the rich kids.
Yep.
If I got tired of kicking it with the jocks, then I go kick it with the stoners or my surfer bros. You know what I mean? Because I can do anything.
Yeah.
I knew how to smoke with the best of them, drink with the best of them, go hit sports with the best of them, surf with the best of them. You know what I mean? Like shit like that, bro. And so like I always had a place to like have refuge. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, man. And I grew up real quick and I got hard real fast. And I went from being like, I remember one year I was like 16, went to juvenile again. I went to juvenile camp, Camp Munns. And it's in Lake Hughes, and I was pumping weights and shit. Mind you, I grew up in a boxing family, so I always used to like. That was one thing my dad did do for me. He would take me around the gyms.
Were you trained?
No.
Okay.
No, my daddy never really did that for me, so I would pick up on shit while I'd be in the gyms.
Okay.
You know, and my daddy, you know, we prided ourselves in boxing. We finally had the light heavyweight champion of the world. And his name was J.B. Williamson, and you know, like at the Forum, the Los Angeles Forum back in the day when it was like the Forum where the Lakers played, the Kings played, concerts and everything. Well, boxing was like, the Forum was a staple of professional boxing at the Forum.
Okay.
And so they called it the Forum Club. You'd go down and they had the fights there. And so that's where Tuesday night, it was sponsored by Stroh's Beer, Stroh's Boxing. So my daddy would always take me with him to that, you know, thing, because he would be scouting out fighters or getting fights for his boxer. And so like, give you an insight of that. That was the one like thing that kept me kind of drawn to my dad, that there was hope of love or connection.
Right.
Was like, you know, my dad was like sharing his world with me.
Yeah.
And like, so for instance, Muhammad Ali, right? Now, at the time when I'm young, I don't know, I'm like, I think it was around 13, 14, 15. You know, like many nights, Tuesday night, go there. And Muhammad Ali would always stand out front of the Forum Club right there. And he would be standing there just saying hi to everybody, people walking up saying, what's up, champ, and whatever. But I didn't know who the dude was. And I just thought, like, whatever. And he wouldn't be boxing, just there for the fights to support, right?
Yeah.
It was the hangout for all the big names. Sugar Ray Leonard, Kenny Norton,
Damn.
You know, Manuel Stewart, Larry Merchant, you know, like all the who's that came up in the 80s of boxing, they were there. And so we would go ringside, and my dad would be busy, like, working. And my dad would sit me next to Muhammad Ali. And he goes, this is Mr. Ali. And he goes, and he's a friend of the family. He's going to take care of you while the fight. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, how you doing, sir? And so he would sit me on his lap sometimes, bro. and we'd watch the fights and shit together. And I just
That
thought it was my daddy's friend. You know, I didn't know who he was.
fucking Muhammad Ali.
For sure, bro. It's a true story.
Holy shit.
And as I got older, you know, like I would sit there, and then one day, and also I'm going to throw this in, I'm kind of all over the place.
No, you're fine.
My mom got me into figure skating, right?
Okay.
And to all the viewers, like you guys don't. Anyway, I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag a little bit, right? Because I don't really share this shit, right? But you know, whatever it's worth. So, yeah, I was a figure skater for like 3 years professionally.
Really?
Yeah, and
That shit's hard to do.
it was, man, but I got it. You know what I mean? And then I went from being a single skater to like a pair skater, and my pair's partner was Kim Knotts, which was the niece of Don Knotts, the old comedian.
Okay.
Don Knotts that played on the Andy Griffith Show.
Okay.
You remember?
I know the show.
Barney
I don't-
Fife.
Yes.
Okay, Barney Fife is Don Knotts.
Okay.
So his niece is Kim Knotts, which was my figure skating partner.
Okay.
Right? Culver City Ice Rink is where I did my skating at, right? Where I competed out of. That was my home. And my sister was also a figure skater, right? And some of our instructors were like Scott Hamilton, fucking like big names figure skaters in the business, which I didn't know who the fuck they were then, right? And my daddy, man, he didn't know. He knew we were figure skating, but like he never came. He was never there. And one day, it was a Saturday, my daddy and I used to sit in his room on the big screen and watch VHS tapes of boxing. And I'm like, well, let me back up. One time, after this Muhammad Ali thing, when I found out who he was,
Yeah.
we're in there watching boxing. And my dad goes, hey, I want to show you something. You remember their friend, you know, our friend, my friend? I'm like, which one, Dad? And he's like, Mr. Ali, Muhammad Ali. I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, he just had a fight or something like that, and I want to show you his. And I'm like,
oh, man.
I'm like, oh, okay. So he pops it in. I'm just looking. I'm like, and he looks
Damn.
a little different from seeing him dressed up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dad. And I'm like, that's Mr. Ali. And I was like, yeah. And he's like,
That motherfucker.
he's the greatest of all time, son.
Yeah.
That's who your dad's friends with. That's who you sit with when you were a kid. That's who you've been sitting with this whole time. That's him.
Wow.
I'm like, damn, Dad.
Wow.
I'm like, what? You know, and I think it was a fight. It was like a Frazier fight I was watching or some shit. I don't know. And I'm like, wow. So, of course, next Tuesday that comes up, right? Like that Tuesday coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, bro. I'm like,
Can't wait.
I'm like, Ali, Muhammad Ali. Ah. He's like,
Yeah.
calm me, what the fuck? He's like, calm your ass down. I was like, I saw your fight. I didn't know you were a boxer.
Especially against Frazier.
You know, yeah. So,
God damn.
so then I was like, okay. So then now fast forward. So one Saturday I'm there and I just won first place, my first place trophy for figure skating singles. And I was really super proud of it, right? Because I always got third place, but it was just hard to get first. And so I had a video of it, and I go in and I says, Dad, I want you to see me. I won a competition at figure skating. He goes, oh, you did? So I'm like, yeah. So I pop it in, bro, and push play, and it was like the ring announcer. And I think back in the day it was Jerry Buss, the passed away, the owner of the Lakers.
Okay.
And I think he used to do our announcing sometimes, and he'd be like, and now coming to the ice, Drake Phillips. And you know how they come out in figure skating?
Yeah.
So I come out there, and I'm wearing, bro, like, this is some funny shit, right? So I'm wearing a fucking, a aqua blue leotard with fucking sequins on it and shit. I got a fucking bowl cut, you know what I'm saying? And I'm out there and I'm like on the pose and some shit, like whatever, getting ready to start my routine, right? And my dad's sitting there and he looks at me and I'm like looking at my dad like, you know, and he's just looking at me with the fucking rage and look of disgust, bro. He's like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I mean, it's me.
I won.
I'm going to watch this. And he's like, I'm not watching any of this shit. Go get your mom. And I'm like, he stops the tape. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And he's like, I'm like, oh my God, bro. And he's about to beat my ass. I'm like, what the fuck I do now? I get my mom and he's like, he's done. He's never going back. This boy is never going back down there to do that shit ever again. You got him wearing shit like that? You know? Is this what you've been doing? For these 3 years, I've been spending my money for him to go do this and this
You
and
just
that.
won.
Yeah, bro. Right? And I'm like, it just went 0 to 60 bad, bro. Like, you know, and I'm like, and my mom's like, okay, you know, all right, Rufus. And my mom was like, all right. And my mom looked at me with tears and she's just like, it's over.
It's over.
So that was it, bro. Like, done with figure skating. My aunt, my mom's sister, she didn't like that shit. None of my mom's sisters like my dad, of course, right? She used to be in a ski club for like inner city kids. They would bus and they would go up to Big Bear And she's like, you know what? I'm going to put him in something. So I'm going to take him to the ski slopes. First day on the slopes, bro, in skis. Just like that. I take to it because I figure skated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so now I'm skiing like no problem. Now, fast forward, I'm getting looked at by Rosignol.
Skiing's hard, too.
Yeah.
I fucking smashed straight into a building trying to ski at one time. That was the last time I skied again in my life.
Yeah.
It was this little tiny shed, and I smashed straight the fuck into it. And I was like, well, I'm done.
It was a little dicey for
I'm
me
done.
in the beginning. But like I said, it was just like it was a meant to be thing. So now I'm just killing it, at a young age. And I'm getting looked at by Rosignol ski team and shit to like race for them. I was a speed freak, so I like super G and giant slalom. Everything straight down vertical was my thing. Moguls a little bit.
Are you going in between? Like, is that the?
Well, you do some pole work.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like super G's, like poles kind of spread abroad, right? Or unless you do like an open. Whereas like none, and it's just straight down. It's just
Straight
a perimeter,
Okay.
and you just kind of like stay in between the path.
Yep.
You ever seen that?
Yeah.
And they're just flying and hitting berms and catching air off like mounds and shit, right? And just soaring, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm doing that, at like a young age in my teens.
That adrenaline.
It was
probably
incredible,
fucking
bro.
incredible.
Oh yeah, man. So I had that, and then I'm also surfing, and I'm gang banging, and I'm partying.
You're doing everything.
Everything,
dog.
man. I'm all over the place because, I was never at home, bro. Never in school, never at home. If I wasn't locked up, I'm in the streets, and I'm all over the city of LA, man, at a young age. And all of my friends, and I mean all of them, were like old enough to drink, old enough to party, have their cars, older chicks. I started getting introduced to that.
And are you still with this Veronica?
No, we kind of like, whatever.
You petered off?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's just the way shit went down.
Okay.
And so, anyways, at 16, bro, I come out of juvenile and I've been pumping, and I went from like 5'7" to 6'1", like that year, bro.
Damn.
And I'm
Gross.
I'm
spurt,
cocky. You know what I'm saying?
And you were pushing
iron in the joint. You know what I mean? Or juvenile, whatever. And now I learned how to fight a little bit better. I got a lot tougher.
Yeah.
That boxing stuff that I'd been watching my whole life came out of me.
Helped.
So I was kind of lightweight and natural. You know what I mean? I can just turn them off a little bit. Boom. Just let it get it on. And I can street fight too, But I wasn't scared of shit anymore. So all these older homies that I grew up, like rich kids, to like my cousins. Because now you have to, my mom's side of the family, my whole family's black. So I got cousins that are hood, you know what I mean, from South Central.
Sure.
They're Crips, they're Bloods.
Yeah. And
cousins from like, I used to get bullied, man, like by my family too. And even all the kids that bullied me in school, if they weren't on my list of people to beat the shit out of, right, I figured out another way to get them back and wasn't scared about none of that. And so, and I also had a childhood friend that always had my back, and I called him my brother to this day. And I miss him a lot, man. He was like my fucking idol. You know what I mean? His name is Rich. And he was the toughest. And he was pretty much the fucking toughest in all West LA. And he was my age. And nobody messed with Rich, bro. And this dude was knocking old fools out like it wasn't shit. Like all older bros. Like
really?
He was nobody to fuck with, right? And he knew my story. So when I ran away, I forgot to mention that. When I ran away most of the time from 6th grade, I'd run away to his house. His family would take me in. They became like my second mom and dad.
Yeah.
And he's my brother and his sister Lise. And then little Steffi came along the way, after that. And so I like really had a lot of support, bro, and protection.
You did.
And it gave me a lot of courage. And then I got big. And then I have that rough edge to me, like that crime life.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I set a course at very early that now I'm a man, and I'm not no follower, and I'm going to do and be and go wherever the fuck I want to go with no apologies. And so, I ended up in the clubs at a young age, underage, getting snuck in.
Okay.
I met this South American coke dealer that was serving to all the surfer boys and all the rich people in the clubs and shit. His name was Pablo. I don't even think the dude's living anymore, but he was a major cokehead and shit, and he slang, and he loved me. So he'd be like, "You want to get a little bit of money? I need a little bro," because he knew I had heart. So I'd run around with him, and I'd drop off his packs and shit, little bindles, like 25 sack,
Yep.
50 fin bindles,
Yep.
little grams, 8
Sure.
balls. And then, like, for my work, he would just give me a ball and give me a little bit of money. And sometimes if he'd be like up in like a trap house, which is like a surf spot down in like Santa Monica, he'd be like, here's the keys to my car. He had his little like souped up sports Jetta, you know what I mean? VW Jetta.
Okay.
And he'd be like, here's my keys. Just go somewhere and then come back here like in the morning. So I would like go somewhere, post up where all like people are at. I would have Coke. They knew who I worked for. So I can get in anywhere. Clubs didn't matter. And club owners, man, they just walk in, the doormen, they'd be like, all right, what's up? What's up, bro? I'm like, what's up? And they would just walk me right in and shit, you know? So yeah, man. Then I had my first real sexual experience. I was 19, maybe 18. I don't know, bro. Also, I forgot to mention that I was in and out of treatment too. So I was introduced to AA.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
at a
like
young age?
Yeah, like at 16.
Oh, wow.
So I was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous at 16. I got sent to a place called the Phoenix House, which is on Venice Beach. It's still there to this day. It's on the boardwalk. You know what I mean? It was just
a rehab?
It's a rehab.
Oh, I bet it was nice.
It was nice, dude.
Oh,
it was
God.
a 3-year program. So you live in there for a year, then you go to graduate, or you live out, and then you're a graduate. And so it was a community, man. It was girls and boys. It was co-ed, and it was a family, man. It was so much. It was a lot of fun in there, to be honest with you.
I bet.
But you know, I got in trouble again in there, and you know me, conejo, you know the rabbit. I fucking just bye, you know. And I had bros that were older homies, and their girlfriends' pad that was like right down the street and condos on the beach. So I just run there. And like, where you been at, Drake? And I'm like, I was just in rehab at the Phoenix House, man. Fuck that place. They're like, yeah, what's up? What are you? You're back? I'm like, I'm back. They're like, you want some Coke? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, it was like that, bro.
Yeah.
And so, you know, man, being around that type of life now, I started to like really get to know different type of culture and people. And then I started getting fascinated by like the Italians, you know, like, you know, guys that, you know, for the sakes of like anonymity purposes, you know, I won't mention names, but these were club owners in LA that were, you know, yeah, they were Italians, but they're with the shit, you know.
Yeah,
they're celebrity clubs too, man. And so I know you probably mentioned this. I haven't mentioned, but there's this well-known celebrity club in LA, right? Won't say the name, but it was the hotspot. You know, legendary spot, right? And it's a celebrity club, and you can't get in unless you're on that clipboard, right? So there's lines of people, limos pulling up, fucking Testarossas pulling up. You can't get in there unless you know somebody or you're with somebody or you're on that VIP list. Well, just like me, man, I don't accept no, and I push the boundaries. I figure out a way to get in that shit, right? And I have a cousin, till I know this day, he's like my brother, Chris. And he was in he's an artist, so he was doing like, you know, album covers for like big hip hop groups and shit like that. You know what I mean? So he kind of had it in. My mom, she had got a condo in Hollywood, like right on Sunset and Fuller, next to the Rock and Roll Ralph's, which is a legendary spot. Okay. And I start meeting some like, you know, music industry people,
important people
for sure, and the people that go to the celebrity club, because it was the spot to be in. If you can get in there, man, you really hit it. You know, like you're doing something.
You're doing something.
So I figured my way to get into that place. And when I got in there, I stayed there. And that became my home, you know, like, and there were celebrities and rich people and people like that in there, man. And like models and porn star people and shit. Like, who the fuck is this dude? You know what I mean? Because I would dress the part, homie.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have a sports coat on.
You got to.
Yeah, with like a silk shirt or like a V-neck on.
Yeah.
With like, you know, alligator skin leather boots and shit, you know what I'm saying? I'd wear like a little fitted hat, like a little hat on, you know, like a Stussy hat and shit, and just look the part, like I was a celebrity or like I was a somebody, you know. And really, I was just a street hustler, man. Just fucking, you know. Don't get it twisted though. I do whatever.
Were you selling coke in there?
No, I mean a little bit, because
Okay.
my cousin Chris, his dad, may he rest in peace, Big Charlie, the big name in the film industry, right? He's like, Big Charlie's like 6'4", 6'6", massive black man, bro. He's in movies to this day. You can look him up, man. And bald head, goatee, wear like old school, like 1980s Run DMC Gazelles on and shit, right? Yeah. Gold on and shit. Always had a limo and shit. Like he had a private driver. And he was also like the coke dealer and distributor of all the fucking celebrities.
Okay.
So, and he had it because he's from the hood too. Anyways, like originally, Big Charlie, God bless him, may he rest in peace.
So he
Carl,
kind of had that on lockdown.
Yeah. So he was going to that club, and he started seeing me, and we started discovering him. And his son, my cousin Chris, we're there slumming in at the club. I would be in the VIP lounge. You can't get in. You can get in the club, but when you get to the third floor of the spot, bro, you can't even get into the VIP lounge. That's a whole nother entity.
Different section completely.
Different section completely. It's manned by security. But I knew the bartender, the head bartender. His name is Andreas, and he was my boy, and he loved me, bro. Right? So he gave me all access. He let everybody know, like, hey, when he comes in, man, that's my dude. Let him do whatever. So now I'm in the VIP lounge, bro.
Wow.
And just hanging out, just chilling, and I got to meet some pretty amazing actors and musicians and shit that are known to this day. Some musicians, like hip hop artists that were like once, in hip hop, now are big.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Did you ever meet Wayne? Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne? No, I never.
Okay,
no,
all right.
No,
I just had to ask you that.
That's later on, yeah.
I had to ask you that.
Yeah, we're talking like 90s, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Wayne,
that's true. Yeah, that's
nah.
true. He didn't pop up till 92, 93 when he was real young.
Yeah. Now, because this is a podcast and this is like social media, I won't say the names, what I mean? But
that's fine.
They know who they are.
I had to ask.
They'll see my face and probably be like, "That's bro from Rock." And I almost said the name of the club. Anyways, I'll say the name. Fuck, I don't give a shit. The Roxbury, because it's not there anymore.
Okay.
So it was called the Roxbury Cafe.
Okay.
And so yeah, man, I'm in the VIP, and at a young age, bro. I'm talking 19 years old, 20 years old. I'm not even an adult yet. I'm in there doing it, and people are like, tourists were coming from all over the world, like bad chicks, bro. They'd come there and they'd come in the VIP. Like they would let the girls, the hot chicks go in there so the celebrities can get with them, right? Of
course.
And I'm in there, bro. And these three blonde chicks from Australia, bro. They were hot, bro. And they're staring at me. And I'm just like, yeah, what's up? And they're like really staring at me. And I'm just like, yeah. And they're kind of like going like that. And I'm like,
yeah.
What's up? So my friend that works in the VIP, she's a cocktail waitress. She comes over and the bartender, he's cool with me too. And also, I forgot to tell you, so Big Charlie, I would get Coke from him and I would sell a little bit for him and I'd get free Coke, right?
Okay.
And he didn't know I was actually sniffing. But, he was like, since you're in here and all the ladies love you, I need you, go ahead, do a little something for me.
Move this shit.
Move this shit for me, right? And so they walk up to me, the cocktail waitress in the bar, they're like, come here, Drake. I'm like, what's up? And now the VIP is kind of empty. It's like a dead night. It doesn't get the celebrities don't really start coming into their booths, like coming in there till like late. So I'm kind of like early where there's nobody in the booths. So there's some people in there and these girls are standing there, and I'm like, what's up? They're like, you see those girls looking at you? I'm like, yeah. They're like, do you know who they think you are? And I was like, who? They're like, they think you're Diamond Phillips. The fucking actor Lou Diamond Phillips, right? So I had long hair too, right? So I kind of like, Lou Diamond from Young Guns.
So
Chavez.
I'm not a good movie guy.
Okay,
I'm not a
just
good
look it up
guy.
when you ever get a chance, right? So
but the fact that they thought you were an actor,
they did, and plus I had the long hair, like how Chavez looked in the movie. He had long hair, Indian, fucking like renegade, cowboy.
So now your dilemma is, do I play the role?
And I did. So I'm like, oh, they do. And because a lot of people thought I looked like him. They'd be like, look like Lou Diamond. I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever. So now I'm like, all right, this is my in.
This is it.
And I'm very good at I went to acting school when I was young too. So I can.
You're a chameleon, dog. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I just listened to your fucking story. Yeah, you're a chameleon.
A chameleon, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, cool, right? So I go up and I'm like, hey, what's up? They're like, well, the Australian. I'm like, you? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and my friends are in the back and they're like, go. And I'm like, okay, you got me right, motherfucker. Because bottles of Dom Perignon in there was like $150 a bottle, right? Your boy didn't have no money like that, bro.
Right.
I was getting free drinks. I was getting free cocktails.
Yeah.
I didn't have bread to go get a bottle
You
of
didn't
Dom.
need to get bottles.
Fuck no. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, you guys, because that's like the known thing.
Yep.
The celebrities get bottles of fucking champagne, Dom Perignon,
Yep.
and they have it on ice sitting next to their booths, their table. So I get these girls in a booth, and I'm in the middle, and they're sitting around me, one on this side, two on this side, and they're just soaking it up, right? They just think I'm fully like Lou Diamond. One girl, she's like, so how was that one movie when you know this and that? And I'm like, yeah, that was a good that was a good film. That was a crazy set. You know what I mean? It took a long time for us to make that movie, and I was like, I was like, it was funny as fuck, right? This shit is so hilarious, and I'm like, yeah, and like now we're getting ready to transition because I got to get the fuck out of there with them before this place fills up.
Right.
For all these celebrities come up in here,
and
I got to get the fuck out of this booth because it doesn't belong to me.
Okay.
It's somebody's booth, right?
Okay.
So I'm like, I got to get them out of here, and I know like they're thirsty, so I'm like, okay. I was like, so where are you guys staying at? They're like at the Hyatt. And I'm like, the Rock and Roll Hyatt, which is a legendary spot. I'm like, sweet. It's like, you guys got a room? And they're like, yeah. They're like, they got the penthouse, and I'm like, you got a penthouse? They're like, yeah. I was like. And the one girl on the right side of me, locked.
Done.
She's on me, bro. Like, I'm talking about, she already kissed me and everything, bro. Like, it's already going, right? They already know I got Coke. It's going down, right? Oh, my boy, the bartender, they already gave me 2 bottles of Dom on the house. They looked out for your boy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm like playing the part. It's going down, right? I'm like, I'm faking like a motherfucker, right? So, I'm sitting there. Right before we're getting ready to leave, man, you can't make this shit up, right? There's this dude on the in booth. He's sitting there by himself. He tells the cocktail waitress, tell me he wants to talk to me. So I go over and talk to this guy. I'm like, what the fuck does he want? She's like, I don't know. She's like, but you need to get the fuck out of here. I'm like,
no.
Okay. So I go over and I'm like, I sit on, he's like in the booth. He's sitting here and I'm like across. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, pretty good. He's smiling and shit. I'm like, what's up? And he says, you having a good time? And I'm like, fuck, are you having a good time? I'm like, yeah, I'm having a great fucking time. He said, you want a glass of champagne? And he's like, no, I don't want a glass of champagne. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
fuck.
What's up? And he goes, listen, man, you're fucking funny. And I'm like, thank you. He goes, yeah. He goes, what do you do for a living? And I go, what are you kidding me, bro? I says, I'm an actor. He goes, yeah. He goes, you are? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, what's your name? And I was like, Lou. He's like, who? I says, Lou Diamond. I was like, they call me Lou Diamond. And he's like, Lou Diamond Phillips? And he's like, I'm like, yeah. And he goes, right. He goes, check this out, man. I'm like, what's up? And he goes, you're fucking hilarious, man. And I'm like, and he's laughing, right? And I'm like, okay. And all of a sudden I feel this heat come up my neck. And my body starts getting the tremors. I'm getting nervous, right?
You're starting to realize.
And I'm like, this fucking dude is a fucking film director or something. Or this dude, he knows Lou Diamond Phillips.
Yeah.
And this fucking dude knows that I'm over here bullshitting, right? And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, so I changed my whole
demeanor up.
Yeah. I says, what's going on, sir? And he's like, yeah, right. He goes, I'm glad you finally realize what this is. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you ain't no fucking Lou Diamond Phillips. He goes, as a matter of fact, I just left Lou. And he goes, and we're working on a film where he plays a military Marine sergeant, and he shaved all his hair off, right? And he doesn't have any hair right now. And you got long hair, and you ain't fucking him. And he goes, so here's the thing. This is fucking hilarious. I don't know how the fuck you got in the VIP, but I guess everybody's kind of like, whatever, this is whatever. He goes, if I was you, I would get those girls.
And get the fuck
those
out.
Dumbass girls that don't know any better and beat it. And I'm like, and he goes, and I don't want to fucking see your face around here anymore. And I'm like, okay. And I get up, I'm like, man, fuck you, man, right? I'm like, hey, never anymore, like whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I did. I got up, and the bartender like, what did he just say? And I'm like, damn, why didn't you guys fucking tell me? Like when they're like, that's funny as hell. Like, you're so funny. I'm like, you guys are fucked up. And they're like, get out of here, Drake. And I'm like, all right. So I tell the girls, I'm like, you guys ready to go? They're like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. They're like, well, we don't want to leave. We want to go to the dance floor and we want to dance.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, all right, well, let's go to the dance floor. So we go to the dance floor and I just lead him out there. I tell my boy Andreas, I'm like, hey, bro, I'm getting out of here. And he's like, all right, you cool? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And the girls are they get to the dance floor and they're like, come on. I'm like, yeah, hold on one second. I'm going to the bathroom. Like that. And I just go out the back door of the VIP, go down the back stairs, out, and I'm gone. So
got to.
That was just a glimpse of like the chameleon of like, you know. So to fast forward, I spent a lot of my life, man, in addiction. right? Now, all of these years, I forgot to also tell you that Pablo guy that I sold for, he 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 was rocking up his coke in the kitchen one time.
Okay.
You know, he's making crack.
Crack.
And he's like, you ain't getting none of this. And I'm like, and I see him take a massive blast. You know, I'm like, what do you mean? I want to look like that. Like, this is coke.
What's that? Yeah.
And he's like,
what's that all about?
because if you're going to do it, I'm not giving it to you. You can just do it. And there's like, he's got boulders on the plate. And I did it. And I fell in love with crack at like fucking 15.
Jesus.
You know? And there were no problems like that, man. Like, you know, where the ugly side of addiction, I mean, there was, but there wasn't. I was maintaining.
You're getting there.
I was, you know, but I was getting there quickly.
You're getting there quickly. Once you start smoking crack, you're getting there.
Yeah. So, I've been back and forth into Mexico. You know, we go down and party a little bit, hang out, learn the culture. You know what I'm saying? In and out of jail still. I would get warrants for my arrest, you know, for doing shit in the streets. So I'd hop on a Greyhound and I would literally just pick a place. I would get a map and I would put my finger, I would close my eyes and I'd go, boom. And wherever my finger landed, that's where I would buy a Greyhound ticket to. And I would go there. And every town that I've been in, Boise, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, fucking Arizona, I say Idaho, St. Louis, Missouri, like just a lot of places, man.
Wow.
I would just go to a town, get off the bus, get a motel room. Now, my mom was still living then, right? So my mommy still had access to my dad's money and the money. Mm-hmm. So she would always Western Union me like $500 at a time. And I would just be there and I would just be the chameleon. I would like blend into the people of that town. And always found a girl, you know what I mean? And you know, I was a little suave dude, so I was gift of gab, you know what I mean? Like they called it the silver tongue. And you know,
that's what they used to call me, silver tongue,
right?
Yep.
So you don't mind if I get a drink, yeah?
No, please.
All right. And this is coffee, by the way.
Okay, I believe you.
So yeah,
the silver tongue.
Yeah.
I think they upgraded me to platinum at one point.
Platinum?
Yeah.
That's funny as shit. So yeah, man, I watched a lot of movies. I was around a lot of action, you know, a lot of actors and like different things. So I learned to develop affectations, which we'd call maybe like accents. Okay. You know, like the part out of Goodfellas. He's like, as far as I can remember when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a gangster, right? And so I would learn that lingo because I'm hanging out with people like that too, you know. Obviously Hispanics, I learned that lingo. Yep. Right? With the white dudes, the surfers, bro, I learned that lingo. Yep. You know what I mean? I knew how to play the part, to get in.
Fit in anywhere.
Fit in. And for periods of time until I get tired. And then I would just move on to the next. Now with that being said, I always look for the evil and the dangerous parts of these people so I can do shit. So I can be known and I can have security and I can feel safe, right? And then I can, like, at the end of, you know, like for whatever it's worth, be somebody, you know, because that's all I've ever wanted, man.
That's all we ever want,
you know,
as addicts.
Just wanted to be somebody, man. I wanted to be accepted.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel safe.
Yep.
I wanted to know that I was going to be okay, you know, and whatever I needed to do for that to happen, then I would fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know, and however high I needed to get, you know, to like take the edge off or give me courage or to just simply just crush myself. Because sometimes it was a self-inflicted addiction. I would do enough shit because I wanted to feel shitty, because I wanted to just drown in misery.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get in touch with pain.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get in touch with pain. Like I wasn't a crier because my daddy beat that out of me. So like that's like the dark, ugly sides of my addiction throughout my whole life was like, I had to do that, man, just to survive and have identity, you know? And that was okay with me until it wasn't okay.
Right.
Until I'm like, there's times where like I'm by myself or I'm out in the streets and selling my fucking clothes off my back for a hit of crack.
Yeah.
You know, I spent a lot of time in Venice Beach.
The crack got you.
The epidemic was crazy, man. Like crack took a hold of me like you wouldn't believe, man. Like
and that was the time too.
Oh yeah,
crack.
Bro. LA.
That's when crack was real.
Very real.
Very
Los Angeles
real.
crack, you know, they got Venice Beach, they call it Booyah, right? You get these like big boulder 50 size pieces for
Bell
like 20
ringers,
bucks. Bell ringers.
fucking Jesus Christ.
You know what I'm saying? For sure.
Real shit.
Man, you better believe it. So I'm like, okay. I used to run around Ghost Town. It's a hood in Venice. It's not there anymore. I mean, it's there, but it's not like Ghost Town anymore. But it's the hood of Venice Beach, right? And now it's like all gentrified and upscale and just fucking like super wealthy people live there now, right?
Really?
There's some homies that still live there, but it's not like it used to be, bro. It's not Ghost Town, where I would run through those hoods like for days at a time, smoking crack, do anything to get a fucking hit. You got the Venice Shoreline Crips that run the neighborhood, and then you got the Venice Beach 13, the Venice 13 Treses that split the hood. And they were always at war with each other. And I was like an undercover 18th streeter, but like, I grew out of that too once I hit my Hollywood days.
Sure.
I'll go back to that. My days of being in 18th Street ended where I didn't have to get any type of initiations out or anything like that, because the clique that I belonged to at the park, they weren't there anymore. I got out of jail one time and they just weren't there anymore.
They were gone.
They were gone, and don't know where anybody really went. Heard of a lot of stories. What could have happened, but a whole nother hood opposite of 18th Street took over that hood.
Took it over.
So that was like, and I ran into a homie and he was like telling me, he's like, yeah, what are you looking for, dog? And I was like, I'm looking for the homies. He was like, she ain't gonna find them unless you go to another clique, and good luck with that, because that would mean that I would have to move to another hood in LA that I was not raised in, then learn that barrio. How are you going to do? You can't do that. Even though it's 18th Street, if you didn't come up in that hood, you're not really going to be accepted.
It's going to be hard.
And in order for you to get accepted, you're going to have to put in some more work, right? So I was kind of like, so what are you saying? And it was like a God aha moment. It was like God was like, yeah, like this chapter is closed.
It's closed.
Right? Like you're good. You're gone. You can just go. And you ain't going to be held accountable by nobody.
That's nice.
Right?
That's nice.
I mean, because it doesn't work like that today.
No.
It does and it doesn't. Let me be honest with you. If I could tell you the truth about a lot of gangs, because, what I'm involved in today is outreach. Like it's very clear to me what my job assignment is, first and foremost, every single day of my life that I'm living, is I work for the kingdom of heaven. I work for God himself, and what that looks like is, God gives me this assignment, and it's something like this. There's an invisible line in front of people's lives, men, women, and children. And on this invisible line, there are men and women like me, chosen for the kingdom, that work for God, that stand there as messengers, like a prophet or a minister or like, a fortune teller or whatever, right?
Sure.
And on the other side of this invisible line is a lifestyle of death and destruction, evils that are just very, very dark. Okay. And on this side, obviously, is the life of righteousness and good and of peace and of like success, and recovery, things like that.
Yep.
And here are these passerbys that are coming, and they're getting ready to walk across this invisible line into that life. Okay. Well, here's the thing that God tells me about them, and what they should know, what these people should know, to this day, is that what God is saying through us, the ones that have been saved, the ones that have been redeemed, the ones that have been salvaged. God is telling us from him to them like this. Say if you, Lewis, or that one guy that's walking, getting ready to cross that line.
Yep.
The Bible likes to call it a man devoid of understanding or a woman devoid of understanding.
Okay.
They really don't know what they're getting themselves into. They're curious, right? They're led to something. They've been attracted by something, whether it be addiction or crime, right? And it sells good. The sales is great, right? The marketing value of it looks fucking great. I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's very promising to broken people like us.
Especially the situation you were in.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
It fits the criteria of somebody that has an identity crisis.
Yes.
It's like, why wouldn't I not go there? Because that seems so fucking promising.
Yes.
It seems so comforting. And then, so you're coming, and I say, stop, Lewis. I want you to know this. God wants you to know. If you go over here, you might not make it back to say, I went to rehab and I got out. I went to prison and I got set free. I was in the ER and I was brought back to life from you won't get to have a testimony because you don't have the mental or physical capacity of lasting or surviving that life.
Right.
So here's your warning from God. Because you have the freedom of choice, if you so choose to go there, there's no guarantees.
Good luck.
Good fucking luck. You're not going to make it back.
Yeah.
So the good news is, if you listen to the words of God through me, or for whatever it's worth, my little short testimony.
Somebody in recovery, yes, I know what you're talking about.
Exactly, right?
Yes.
If you so choose to take it for what it's worth, for a little bit you could take it for what it's worth. If it hits your soul and if it hits right in your heart, and if it takes your mind to a place where you think this is reasonable, don't fucking go. Just go back home
Yeah.
and figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's my assignment. That's what I do.
I like that.
And it makes perfect sense. So there have been times where I've questioned God, I've argued with God, where I've been very upset to the effect of like, if I'm chosen by your kingdom, God, if I'm living for your greater purpose, then help me understand, why did you allow me for 38 years to go through all of that dark, detestable, horrific, sinful, wicked fucking life? Why?
You got the experience, man. You got the experience that you can take home and share with other people.
Right. So what then was considered to be a question or a doubt or a resistance has now become, my true identity.
Yeah.
Which has now become my sure confidence and my sure courage and my fearlessness. I once told a pastor, many pastors or ministers or bros in recovery and sisters in recovery, and I once said, today I live a life that I will go to places that no man would dare to go to save people. I'm that guy you can pick and select to go and do the work. And I'm not saying that I'm fully courageous and I'm fearless, but what I am saying that I am courageous and I am a little fearless, right?
Yeah.
I get nervous. Biblically speaking, there were prophets in the Bible, like in old times, right? Like Jonah, he didn't want to go to Nineveh and rescue a land for God by himself,
right?
An evil place. He got on a ship and he boarded and he was going the other direction, and God threw him off the ship and went into a belly of a whale. And that's captivity. And until he answered God and said yes, then he came out of captivity and he went on to Nineveh and he went to go establish the kingdom of heaven for the people to get saved, right?
That's wild.
Okay. Then you got the Apostle Paul, was a murderer of Christians, right? Well, he was knocked off a horse, you know what I mean? And then he went on to go establish the kingdom of heaven, right? To people that feared this guy, you know what I mean? And it just goes on and on and on, of like many men and women of the Bible, right, that are chosen and selected, that were chosen and selected to do this work. Well, they were reluctant. They were scared. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to go to these places by themselves. Like, what the fuck does that look like?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, there's this prophet named Elijah. He was like, okay, I get it, God, but like, I'm up against Jezebel. She's like a known like terror in the country, and she's got an army. She would destroy just little old me. And God's like, look, I got thousands of soldiers that can like go with you and just destroy that. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be with you, and I'm going to send you, and you're going to do it. And you watch and see what happens. So that's why things make sense to me now, right?
Yeah.
So now I guess my answer to God is like, yes and amen. I do have moments where I'm like, not today, God. I don't want to do the job.
Yeah.
This is too much to know. This is too much to endure, whatever. Okay, so then now I've had, I'll tell you the story of, if you don't mind, of a few of my tragedies.
Sure.
I've been held hostage in Mexico. Okay.
Ooh, that's
I've been held hostage before.
a scary one.
I've been tortured, and I've been hurt, and I've been afflicted, and I've been abused down there because I live down there.
May I ask about your leg?
Oh, we're gonna get into that one.
Okay.
Yes, and we will. I'll definitely answer it. Look, I was just a young man in a country. There was a time that you could run to Mexico, before 9/11.
Yeah.
You could just run there and just be who you wanted to be and do whatever you wanted to do. You could live lawless down there, And if you get a little bit more stronger and a little more important, and you get a little more money, then you can start hiring some people to like be your crew.
Yeah.
And I had that.
Yeah.
Like, again, I told you, my daddy said when I was young, he says, you weren't created to be a follower, Drake. You're a leader. So I wouldn't accept in a foreign country, bro. And I didn't speak fluent Spanish. and I'm a former gang member. I got tattoos on me. I'm like enemies with a lot of these people down there. And two, I'm a threat to the community of Mexicans because I'm an American running. They know I'm running, and I'm down there trying to take their work. I'm working for clubs and shit, man.
Right.
So they get jealous, and you got to fight motherfuckers, man. I can't tell you how many times I've been jumped. I've been had to get into, fist fights over like establishing my job title. And so I started getting crews around me, and I started paying them good money because I was so chameleon, so diverse with the tourists that were coming down from California for like all the students and kids from spring break,
Oh yeah.
summer break.
Oh yeah.
They come see me.
Yep.
They used to call me Ricardo, right? So I used to talk like that. Every time they come down there, I say, "Hey, welcome to Mexico. How are you doing today?" Shit like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
An affectation, right?
Yeah,
You know?
yep.
And I still didn't speak no fucking Spanish, right?
Right.
And they were like, "Oh, what is your name?" And I was like, they call me Ricardo. Ricardo, oh my God. What's up? Can you get us into the club? Yes, I can get you into the club. You don't have to wait in for the line. You don't have to, you want to go to the VIP? I get you to the VIP. You want any drinks? And the fucking guys would come down there like, can you get us some Coke? Yes, I can get you cocaine. It's no problem. You know what I mean? Can you get us some?
It's no problem.
It's no problem. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the way I had to be. I had to turn into that guy.
Oh God.
And then they'd be like, habla español? Oh, sí, habla español. Then I didn't fucking know anything after that, right? I would just turn right away to like English.
Right.
But just, for whatever it's worth, we don't have to speak Spanish down here. I like to speak English because, I want to talk to the American people so I can provide a service for you.
Right.
And they would be like, you're fucking cool. And I say, you are very cool too. Shit like that, right? And
Makes perfect sense.
And brother, I'm going to tell you, that opened up Pandora's box because
Makes perfect sense.
they're handing me money hand over fist to do anything for them, protect them, because I had the protection. I was paying cops down there. They were on my payroll, right? I had a
Jesus.
crew that would fuck you up or kill you. You know what I mean? And like I had what you needed. I acquired that. You know what I mean? Because that's just the way I was. The problem with that is that I was living beyond my means in a foreign country, okay? And locals and real heavy hitters are starting to get
hip.
They're starting to hear about me.
Yeah.
And now I'm facing shit. And it's starting to get a little dicey, And mind you, I was that guy. Like, I'm never gonna let anybody be my dad. Ain't nobody fucking beating me anymore. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody gonna terrorize me. So if I gotta die doing this, then I'm gonna die doing it. If I gotta fight this dude and maybe there's a death certificate attached to that, then I'll fucking just do it. Now I'm scared, but I gotta do it, man. I'm in a foreign country, bro. It's kill or be killed, survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
For a little fucking little punk
Gringo,
kid from
the little gringo,
mixed kid from Brentwood. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is going on? But I have to do that. I had to be who I was. I had to make people believe that I was that character, that I am that guy. That I am fucking Pablo Escobar, whatever.
Yeah,
that I am fucking El Chapo, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You get
Ricardo.
the idea. I'm fucking Ricardo. You know what I'm saying? And then, if people want a fucking mobster, then then forget about it. Then I could be what the fuck you want me to be. You know what I mean? I could take you to the places that you want me to fucking take you. It means nothing to me. Like whatever. Like you get it. Like I would have to just.
Good.
I'd be what I needed to be.
Yeah.
To fucking survive, and here's the crazy thing, Lewis, is I believe those characters.
That's the best way to do it.
I believe those characters that I was portraying.
That is the best way to actually portray that character, is to believe it.
It's kind of like an actor.
You're believing your own lies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's this actor, this guy that's never talked like this. He's never played a character like that, right? You see this in film today.
Yeah.
You got guys like Gerard Butler. This fucking guy, I thought he spoke English. No, he doesn't. He's fucking Irish. This dude's got a full-on, accent, but you know what I'm saying? He plays the part.
Yep.
So I believe these characters that I was living, bro. I lived those parts. You want to watch a fucking dangerous killer mob movie and you want to be like a real fucking forget about it, a real fucking goomba, a real paisan, then that's me. I had names to those guys, So some guys call me fucking Frankie. Another guy would call me fucking Tony. You know what I mean? Giovanni, shit like that. I had names.
Giovanni.
It just depends, right? And like, I believe those fucking characters. And most of these characters are depicted from either A, real life, like, killers and evil people in organizations.
That you've come across.
Of course. That I've done business with.
Yes.
That I've done a little something for. Or B, they're movie characters that I watched, that I paid attention to, that played these roles. And I'm like, that's exactly who I'm going to fucking be. For this month or for this season of my life, where this place that I'm living right now, I'm going to be that fucking person in that area.
Wow.
And I can't lose. When it came to, the dark moments of, in contrast from like, the high life of being like this character in Mexico to survive, right? To how dark it got.
Okay.
Where, now I'm starting to get into more fights, having more challenges, more threats on my life, my crew. I can mention this one story about this guy. He owned a club, very popular club on the beach, and they loved me, of course, because they saw what I could do with the tourists.
Yep.
And so,
Bring them in.
yeah, so he created this position for me to be his club promoter in the streets, So like when you come down to Mexico and you want to go to the clubs, you get these wristbands. You buy the wristband, it's like $12 all you can drink from like 10
Damn.
to like 3 a.m.
Okay.
6 a.m., right? But it's just $12. And so you pay $10 of that goes to the club and $2 goes to your pocket.
Okay.
I was selling like 50 to 100 a night,
Nice.
easily,
Yeah.
And then my
Quick,
side hustle.
quick, easy.
Yeah. And then I had my side hustle where it was like, now there's this extra, thing of me acquiring my services while you're in Mexico, from the younger people to the older vacationers, whatever.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, I can give you, security, you'd be a backup, and, whatever. You don't have to wait in the lines, VIP, you could just go straight in.
Cocaine?
Yeah, cocaine.
Still,
I can get you all that.
Get all of it.
Whatever you need,
Yeah.
And so, this one guy that owned this club, he was known to not, he had a reputation to not pay his local, like employees. And, or pay whenever he wanted to.
When he felt like it.
Right. And so this one time, I had already made up high up in my world, I was the guy, it was the, the boss in my little crew and my life or whatever. I had a girlfriend. She was a premier stripper, and
Really?
yeah, she's an American. Won't mention her name. She's dear to my heart. She's still my friend to this day.
Good.
She's very successful. She was successful when I got down there. It was one of many times.
I bet she was.
And she was a premier stripper. This girl was so beautiful. At the time she was just drop dead, man. She had the body and the like blonde hair, blue eyes, surf chick, but just a boss, and she did what she had to do and be what she had to be to survive, have a house on the ocean in Mexico. Every man wanted her. All the locals wanted her. All the head bartenders, all the club owners. Anybody and everybody, the rich people that come down there, whoever, they wanted her. And you know what? She was all about business, right? And she had no time for love.
Yeah, she wanted her money.
And she was very callous.
Yeah.
She's a boss.
Yep.
To this day, she's that way. And so she's very, very dear to my heart, man. Well, I met her. And, just walking around the street one day trying to figure out what I'm going to go do, my next move. And she's sitting in her Jeep. And she sees me, I see her. And I'm like, oh, American girl. And she's just staring at me. She's hot. And I'm just like, okay. Finally, I can get a chick down here. You know what I mean? Because at that time, I'm just sleeping with all the tourists and and just in and out of hotel rooms,
Sure.
having sex in clubs, whatever, just
Crazy shit.
Yeah, I wasn't settling down with anybody, that's for sure.
Right.
And I wasn't anybody you wanted to settle down with anyways, But I saw her, and it was just something about her that was very sophisticated, very like motherly and strong at the same time, but and she had an edge to her. And she was smoking, so I'm like, what's up? What's your name? She tells me, and I tell her my name. She's like, what are you doing down here? I was like, oh, I'm down here writing a book. And she's like, oh, you are, huh? I'm like, yeah. She's like, in her mind, she's like, oh, you're not a motherfucker. You're on the run. You know what I mean? And this later came out.
She's smart.
She is. She knows. She just knows, She's a boss.
Yeah.
She's been living down there. She's
Yeah.
been working as a big premier. I'm like, this chick's she would be on billboards when you come in to like strip clubs. They would have her on a billboard.
Really?
She's performing at this club.
Damn.
Yeah. So she knows
Yeah.
everything, and she has cops on her payroll. Was even like a captain's. One cop, he was a captain of a small police force down there. She was one of his girlfriends, and she used him for protection, and whatever. So long story short, she invites me to her strip club, and I go down there with my boy, which is a head bartender at one of the biggest clubs down there, right? And he was my dude, and I'm telling him about this girl, and he goes, "Oh," because I know who that is, and I'm like, "Of course you do." I'm like, "Great," and he goes like, "Yeah, man, when do you want to go down there?" I'm like, "Well, she invited us to come down there tonight." And he's like, "All right, let's go." We go down to her spot. Sure as shit, bro. She had a mad crush on this dude, right? She liked him. And
Oh, the bartender.
yeah, the dude, yeah, my boy.
Oh.
And I didn't know that, but I found out real quick. Like,
Yeah.
what I came down there with him for me to like get together with her. She's all about him, and he's like, this bro right here, man. This dude is like the head bartender of one of the most biggest clubs down there. He's like 6'2", Mexican dude. He's just built, it's like he's like top suave dude, right?
Yeah.
Every girl wants this guy. So I'm like, damn,
Fuck.
this sucks. So I'm like, whatever. So, but I'm in a strip club, so I'm like, well, I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah,
I'll find me somebody.
Yeah.
And so we go back to her pad, and she's got a house on the ocean, man. Like this front house that's on the cliffs, and then they have a back house and this huge, like, old Spanish home, man, right?
That's awesome.
Beautiful, bro.
Oh,
like
yeah.
private, enchanted little spot off the coastline down there, just like 25, 30 minutes south of Rosarito Beach. And we get there, and you have to like park on the side roads and then walk like through sand dunes to get to her property.
Get to her place.
It's very, very like off the
in the
beaten
cut.
path. Yeah, it's off the grid. So we get there, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, she's got it going on. So they get together, but I'm really crushing on this chick. So, but she's crushing on me too a little bit. So like she would be with him, and we were laying out on the patio, like we would lay out like butt naked, bro. Like just we're like in the middle of nowhere, and she'd be staring at me and like flirting with me, and I'm like, why you? I'm like, you're with my boy, you know what I mean? I'm like, this, I'm not trying to like step on his toes,
Yeah.
and I don't want no problems with him either, because I need him. He's one of my allies,
Yeah.
right? And there was a lot of energy there, man. There was just like a connection. So I was like, so he went and took a shower, and we're up in her front house in the kitchen. We're making like, cocktails. And I said, listen, I know you like me, right? And she's like, I do. And I was like, but this is weird because you brought me down here, and I thought that it was like us, and now you're with my boy. She's like, well, if you're asking if I slept with him last night, I didn't. She's like, I don't give my body away like that. This is a business. And I'm like, okay, what are you saying? She's like, I don't know. What are you saying? I was like, I like you, She's like, yeah, well, if you're looking for a place to stay, she's like, this ain't the place. She's like, I'm not looking for some punk. Mind you, she's 10 years older than me too, to this day.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going on 53. She's going on 63.
Damn.
And she still looks great.
Damn.
She takes very good care of herself. So anyway, I was like, okay, then I'm going to fight for you. She's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'll be right back. So my boy gets out of the shower, and I says, hey, bro, let's go to the little restaurant right up the street, which is like up the sand dunes. You just walk to it and just go right there. And he's like, all right. I was like, let's go have some breakfast. And he's like, all right, let's go. I said, we'll be back. She's like, okay, boys. I'm like, all right. We go, we're sitting there, we're having like huevos rancheros and a couple shots of tequila, you know what I mean? Like beer. And I says, listen, homie. I says, man, I got mad love for you. He's like, man, I love you too, Ricardo. And I was like, yeah. I go, look, with all due respect, I really like her, man. And he goes, I know you do. I said, he says, I see the way she looks at you. And I was like, yo, you do? And he's like, yeah. He goes, fuck it. And I was like, what do you mean? And he goes like, you want her? And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to disrespect you. I thought maybe you guys were trying to be together, And he goes, I have a lot of girls. I don't have time for a girlfriend. You know that. I'm busy. I'm like, okay. He goes, and we didn't even have sex last night. And I was like, okay.
Okay, stories are checking out.
All right. I says, all right.
Okay.
I says, so hey, bro. He says, what? He says, so do you mind if I have her? And he goes, she's yours. And he goes, what do you need from me now? And I go, I need you, when we leave here, when we go back to the house, get your bag, get your keys, get in your car and go. And don't come back. And he goes, I got you. You're my boy. And I says, I appreciate it.
Did you believe him when he said that?
100%. We got back to the house. He walked up to her. He gave her a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And he says, this is Ricardo. You two are meant to be together. And she looked at me and she just smiled and she goes,
knew.
what the fuck?
Yeah,
and
she was like, okay.
I was like, I told you I was serious about you. And I was. It wasn't about, yeah, she had a house. Yes, she has security.
Right.
Yes, she was American, right? I mean, like, yeah, she had all those securities.
It was the energy.
But I really was in love with this chick,
Yeah.
bro. I mean, it was something about her. Fast forward, now we're together. She would not let me sleep with her, right? So we're just there. We would lay in the same bed, nothing. Partied hard. Like, we did everything. We went hard, right? And then finally, we did it. You know, we did the thing, and it was amazing. And to the point where it's like, okay, we're getting married. And she's like, yeah. She goes, but the only way you can marry me is you got to get permission from my mom. And I'm like, and how's that going to happen? She goes, well, my mom lives in the States. So we're going to have to go to California, and you're going to meet my mom, and you can talk to my mom. And I'm like, wow, this is really happening. So we're together now, you know, and now I turned into her private bodyguard. So here's the crazy thing, bro. I had to also be this woman's boyfriend, right? Potentially her husband, with being her private security while she's stripping.
Yeah,
and she's living a certain life about the money.
That's tough.
And it started getting real gnarly, man.
Yeah.
Where I would get jealous sometimes.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know,
I'm sure
I have to
there were
also
many
say,
times.
one thing about me, since my daddy did that to my mother, you know, coming up, and he did it to me, my whole life, man, I prided myself to never put my hands on a woman or kids, you know?
Yep.
Now, I have had altercations with women, right, truth be told, but it was all in self-defense. You know, it was all like toxic or in the heat of the moment of like maybe I'm loaded or, you know, things are just not going well in the relationship and they're just like fed up with me and they're just attacking me.
They're coming at you.
Yeah, so I've had to, you know. I have some kids' mothers that like try to tell another story, which is a fucking lie, you know what I mean? But that's some of my stuff that I have resentment and I'm working on things with that, right?
Sure.
But that's just the way it was. So even with her and I, this girl down there, you know, I never took it out on her. I would take it out on all of her, you know, clients. And so, and then I met her ex-boyfriend, which is a captain of a police station down there.
Oh, God.
I met him and he loved me off the top.
Okay. Well.
And he goes, you're with her now? And I says, yeah. And he goes, she's my family. And I go, okay. He goes, and anything that she wants, I will do. And that means anything that you want, I will do. So now you have me.
Wow.
And you have all of my people.
Do you expect that?
No.
I wouldn't expect that either.
Doing shots with this fucking guy at the strip club, drinking beers while he's in uniform with his captain shit on, right? Guns on, everything. His partner pulls up in a police truck and he's in there fucking sniffing lines, doing shots with me and drinking beer with me in the bar.
Jesus Christ.
And he's telling me these like sentiments, you know, and I'm like,
wow,
sweet, you know. And I'm like, now this just makes my whole resume of who I thought I was and who I became down there, it just went to the next level.
Yep.
So now I have serious backup.
Yep.
So fast forward, that guy that didn't pay people, right?
Yep.
He decided not to pay me one weekend, and he went on a fishing trip. Okay. Now I could talk about this guy because he's passed away now. God rest his soul, and his family, you know, bless them all or whatever. But truth be told, his club was, you know, for other purposes, and that money would belong to other people that he owed money to. So when I went to the club while he's gone and didn't pay me, I went there just to get what he owed me because I had access to the office. I'd go there and I'm like, you know, he owes me fucking money. And I'm like, okay. So I ended up getting like 100 wristbands and went out and sold them. I'm supposed to bring back their percentage. I didn't. I just took it.
Why the fuck would you?
Right.
They owe you.
Exactly. So anyways, that was a dumbass move. Now, mind you, I got a head full of rage and pride and ego. I'm living in a different identity, you know.
Yep.
I don't know my ass from a hole in the wall. You know, I know nothing. I just know that this is who I am. And I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? not only would I would never have my crew do something that I wouldn't do, and I've showed them that. You know, like you have to talk about these are heavy hitter boys that are from Mexico City that come there for work.
Yeah.
They will do whatever they have to do.
Yep.
And they need to see that you will do it too. And so this is the kind of crew that I had, and this is the type of mindset that I needed to have and that I did have. So when I did that move, I did it so cocky, but so ignorantly, right? Not realizing that this was deeper than, you know, a guy just not paying you and some shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, like when I took those wristbands, what I did was I took money from some fucking people.
And they needed that money.
And they needed that fucking money
to go elsewhere.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this. So my boys.
I'm putting two and two together here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So my crew, I'm in this little spot, this little other bar that's one of my ally bars, you know, and I'm in there hanging in with their, you know, owners. We're good, and my crew comes running in, you know, frantically, and they're like Rico, and I was like, what's up? Come here, what's going on? I was like, here, let's do a shot. We do a shot, and they're whispering in my ear. They says, hey, did you just go to such and such spot and did you take the money and this and that? I said, yeah, so what? And he said, yeah, so what? They're like, yeah, so fuck him, because they didn't like the guy either, and they're like, well, he's looking for you. And I was like, okay. And they're like, yeah, okay, and so what? And I'm like, okay, well, what's up? And they're like, we don't like him. A lot of people don't like this fucking guy. So why don't we just go ahead and bomb his fucking cars and bomb his fucking spot and fucking kill him? And I was like, damn. Why don't we not do that?
Let's not, yeah.
You know?
let's not do that.
Because, like, look, for whatever it's worth, any other, like, battle or problems that we've ever had down there, that would have been kind of like, okay, well, who is it? Let's go handle this shit, right?
Right.
But for whatever reason, this one, when they were talking to me and my heart was pounding.
Yeah.
I felt a sense of dis-ease come over me. Something was not right, and what they were saying was not safe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, stop for a second. I go, we're not going to do that. I says, all right, I want to fix this, because truth be told, I like the guy. I mean, honestly, this man took me under his wing too. He knew I was on the run. He knew I didn't have shit.
Yep.
It took a lot of his support. I mean,
Yep.
I made it high up in his club. I was like almost one of his head security too. Shit like that. I was doing good things for this guy. I really loved this man. You know what I mean? So I didn't want problems like that. I just wanted to settle the problem.
Settle the beef.
Big deal. All right, cool. We ain't going to do that. So I go back to the crib and I tell my girl. I tell her what happened. She's like, the fuck you did? And I was like, I mean, you know. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm going to go take him his money back. And then maybe he'll just give me, you know, what he owes me out of it. You know what I mean? She's like, yeah, good fucking luck with that. She's like, you should have told me you were going to do that. And I was like, well, I did, you know? And so, anyway, sorry about that.
You're fine.
So anyways, I'm like, she says, before you do that, let me call Captain such and such. I was like, good idea.
Great idea.
So he comes over to the house with his partner, and he's, you know, doing a couple shots. We're at our beach house. And I'm telling him the situation, and he looks at me and he goes, yeah, I kind of already know about that situation.
Oh, really?
Of course he does. He's a captain.
Yeah.
He works for these people too.
Yeah.
Word gets around. We're in a very small community. Yep. And I go, okay. He goes, all right, that's the right thing to do. You should go do that. Be careful, though. And I was like, okay. Next day, I get the money. I go up to his club. It's the middle of the day. This owner, the dude, he's standing outside, and the place is packed. The streets are packed with tourists, man. It's summertime.
Yeah.
You know, everything's going. It's just, you know, he's out there promoting. All these people are there. And I see him. He sees me. I'm coming through the crowd, and I go up to him, and I'm walking towards him, and he's looking at me, and he drops his megaphone. He hands it over to this guy, and he's looking at me. And dude's not a little guy either, right? And I'm walking up, and I'm like getting over in my pocket to give him his, you know, and I reach out and I says, hey, you know, I says, hey, laxcamete, you know, tranquilo. And he goes, yeah, bang, bang. And I was like, hey, bro, I apologize. You know, I'm sorry that I did what I did. You know what I'm saying? But I just, you know, I wanted to give you. And then next thing you know, he just swings on me, cracks me straight in my nose, right? Doesn't drop me, but he breaks my nose off the top. Blood's everywhere. You know what I
Fuck.
mean? I just felt the blood rushing. He smacks me, and he's coming forward, throwing like haymakers.
Oh,
missing.
he's like continuing to throw haymakers.
Yeah, and then I'm like pedaling back, and it's like people are like everywhere, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And he's trying to grab me and like beat me down, and I look over and he whistles, and all of his boys are running out of the club,
Oh, fuck.
and they're coming, like his boys, and I'm like, "Oh fuck!" So gone. I peel out. I run. I get away. Go to another ally bar.
Did you give him the money?
No, I couldn't.
You never had a
Before I couldn't
chance.
even come out of my pocket. And I get to a spot where some of my people that don't like him. All these clubs down there, you have to know, most of the clubs don't get along with each other
Okay.
for certain reasons. So the one place that I go, they never like this guy, whatever. And I run in there, my nose is broke, and they go back, they break it back,
Yeah.
and whatever. And I'm like, they're like, okay, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It didn't work out. I tried to, and they're like, okay. And then my dude that owns this bar, this club, he says, and he doesn't like the guy, but he says the truth. He says, look, man, Rico, he goes, as much as I love you, I respect you, we don't like him, but we heard about the situation. I'm sorry this happened to you, but you got to get the fuck out of Mexico. And I was like, what? And he's like, you better go.
They're gonna kill you.
This is not good.
They're gonna kill you.
He says, so go get in your Jeep, hurry up. We'll in my security, we'll get you out there, and you just get home. So I'm like, okay. Get to the house, my nose is fucked, blood all over my shirt. My girl, she's like, what the fuck? And I was just like,
I'm sorry.
it did not work out. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh my God. She's like, I got to call the captain, our buddy. And he comes, or phone, I don't know, it was a long time ago. And he says, he goes, yeah. He says, you got some cojones, man, to do that. He goes, love it. He goes, but since we talked and you went there, it's already the word is around right now. They're looking for you.
Yeah.
And he goes, I go, right now? He goes, right now. And he goes, now I can buy you some time, but you need to get her. And my girl right there. And he says, you guys need to board up the shit. Pack your bags, get out of here. We'll escort you.
Her as well.
Yes.
Because they were going to go after her.
Fuck yeah, she's my girl. So he says, we'll escort you, as far as we can. We got you. Okay. Something along the lines. So they didn't, and whatever. We get to the border. We boarded up our beach house. We packed some shit and we left. 6 years later, I'm on a run again from the law. And I go back down there. I was intended to drive all the way to the south of Mexico to get a place, get a land and build a house, and just run and just stay in Mexico for the rest of my life because I'm not coming back stateside.
Yeah.
And my dumbass stopped in that town. It's the off season too, so there's no clubs open. And some people recognized me, and then that night turned into, me being boarded up. I sealed off and barricaded my hotel room. Yeah, it was crazy. I ended up the police came, got me out of the room, right? These guys that were trying to break into my room. It's a very deep story, but my life was on the line. They were trying to break in. I had it barricaded. And I'm in the hands of this one particular cop that I've always see around. Well, he was in with him. And so now I'm in a jail cell inside of Mexico.
Oh my God.
And they're arranging to get inside that cell that they put me in by myself.
Yep.
To come in there and deal with me.
Yep.
I'll never forget it. Now, mind you, when they booked me, all right, into the jail, I had fake ID, and it didn't match up. They didn't believe me. So somebody from that police station sent it to the federales into their investigations for foreign crimes or, ID fraud, drug trafficking, whatever. And so the federales already had my profile. What I didn't know is that they were already sending their investigators from their station, their wherever, to come to where I'm at to get me. So for 5 hours I'm in the cell, and I'm not knowing that, and I'm not knowing that this cop is in on, like, they're gonna do me.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, the cop, he comes out, he looks at me, I'm standing there, I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and he goes, gives me the most evilest, cynical look, man. He goes, and I'm like, ¿Qué está haciendo? I was like, ¿Qué problema? And he was like, you. And I was like,
Fuck.
why do I know this guy? And he goes down the hallway, and I hear him unlock this chain link fence.
Oh.
And here he comes walking down the hallway, and behind him are 7 guys.
Oh.
One guy's got a big ass fucking trash can, industrial size. Another guy's got like, a garden hoe. Another dude's got like
Oh my god.
a stick or something. Another dude had a like those pickaxes.
Yeah.
He has that. And the guy in the back. Now here's the guard. He's at my door. He's getting ready to unlock it to let him in. I see the guy in the inn. He's staring at me. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this guy had a demon in him, bro. He's looking at me with these black eyes. And I'm looking at him, and I just say to him, I go, hey. I says, ¿Tú habla inglés? And he goes, I go, okay. This is all within seconds, man. I go, are you coming in here to kill me? And he goes, just like that. And I'm like, oh my God. And man, next thing you know, he gets ready to turn it, and the door to the inside of the station opens up, and these 2 federales walk in. And they say, hey, what's going on? And he turns around, and he looks, he goes, whoa, what's going on? And he says, what is going on? Who are these guys? He goes, oh, okay, hold on 1 second. They're my janitors. They're coming to clean the cells.
You told him that?
No, the guard's telling the federales that.
Okay.
And I'm like, and they're looking at, and all these dudes and the cop, the guard, he's looking at me, and they're just looking at me. They're like, and then the federales are like, get the fuck out of here. Get these guys out of here. What's going on? They know.
Yeah.
They know what was getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
And now I scream like, hey man, help me. And they're like, relax, come here. And the guy takes those guys down. I hear him lock the thing back, and he comes back up the hallway. And the federales tell this guy, they said, you, go back inside. And they said, you, come here. And I said, what? I says, what is your name? And I says, Ricardo. And he says, yeah, okay. We're here to pick you up. Come out. Open it. And so, like they open the door and they let me out, whatever. And then they put me in zip ties. And they says, you're going with us. And I said, who are you? And they're like, we're federales. We're coming to take you to investigate. And I'm like, well, you need to know what's going on. They're like, shut up. Don't talk. We need to move you now. And I'm like, okay. So we go out to this. It's broad daylight. We go out to the parking yard where the police cars are parked. They got their truck. And they go and they take me out there. And these cops are standing there. And they're just looking at me. And they're just going. They're smiling. And they're just looking at me like this. And I'm like, oh, shit, bro. And they go, get in the car and lay down. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and they lay down, and then they drove me to Federal Holding in about an hour and a half away. They drive me to Federal Holding. And next thing you know, the United States Embassy were called from the Mexican government. And the U.S. consulate was called. And they says, we got this guy, he's down here, foreign crimes, fake IDs. We think he's running from you, whatever. Come down here and,
Which you were.
Yes, interview this guy. So here's the U.S. Embassy's investigations and the U.S. consulate investigations down in Mexican Federal Holding, coming across the border. They come down there. They came down there 3 times, Lewis. First time, they're like, what's your name? I'm like, I'm not telling them. This is how crazy the addict mind and the lifestyle of a guy. This was the way I was. I was still trying to figure a way of getting released from this Federal Holding.
Yeah.
To get out in Mexico, not go back to the States.
Yep. And
then maybe just go to another region and start over, right? I'm still trying to get out of it.
Still trying to figure a way out.
And I wouldn't tell them my name. They're like, look, man, okay. So they leave. They go back to the States. Next day, they came back again. So you're going to tell us your name? And I'm like, my name is Ricardo. They're like, whatever. Some more talking. They're like, all right. They leave. Third day, they came back. And they said, they take me to an office, a room. And they sit down with me, like we're sitting here. And they says, you going to tell us your name? And I says, okay, why? I told you my name, Ricardo. They go, listen, your name is not Ricardo. We don't know what your name is. But I'm going to tell you this. This is our 3rd day down here. We've been advised by the Mexican government. We are not allowed to come back here for you again.
Oh, fuck.
And here's the thing that we know. there's a hit on you. We know that they just saved your life. You got some bad shit going on down here. You did some bad shit to the wrong people. Okay, I don't know who those people are. We don't know anything, but we know you're not down here for no fucking ID fraud or foreign crimes. Chances are that you're running from the States, okay? And okay, whatever. I get it. I understand why you're running and why you don't want to tell us your name and you don't want us to like whatever. But this is the thing you need to know. We're not coming back. They won't let us back. They're going to prosecute you for foreign crimes and you're going to go to a Mexican prison.
Oh my God.
And with that shit that you got on your body and for the thing that's going on around here, you know you're going to die tomorrow. That's what we do know. So if you don't tell us your name, we can't help you. And that was like a God moment right there, man. I'm like, I literally, my chest, I mean, I could just feel.
Oh, dude. I would be scared.
The Holy
shitless.
Spirit, man. Like
Oh,
God's
my
presence.
God.
God just said, tell them now.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
My name is Drake. And they're like, all right. He says, all right, we're going to put you back in the cell. We're going to look it up. And they come back and they're like, all right. You are who you are. Okay. We got a picture of you. You're wanted. You're a fugitive at large from the United States.
Yep.
Okay. And we're going to get you out of here. All right. And I was like, okay. I was like, we'll be back for you tomorrow morning. These fucking homies come down there, man. This is no lie. They come down there with 2 carloads, right, of United States, officials.
Yeah.
They come down there. They load me up. The Mexican government loads me up in a white van with a driver, a passenger, all military. They're Mexican PEP task force agents with high-powered machine guns, bro, vest up and everything, sitting in the front. There's one guy in the back seat in there, and I'm sitting in the middle.
Are there any Americans?
The Americans are in the trucks
Okay.
on the outside, like in the front. We're going out in the caravan.
Okay, gotcha.
We come out of the holding, the carport. We come out, and there's Mexican police trucks with the guys, the gunmen, like literally like you see in the movies. This is no exaggeration. They're just like lined up. Another couple of cars and a couple of trucks. They escorted me, bro, like I was the president or somebody, out from there back to the U.S. Customs border, bro. Get there, they get out, they hop out onto the sidewalk where the entry point of going into San Ysidro and San Diego, right into the to the stateside from Mexico. Yep. They get out on the sidewalk, they're out there with their guns and everything like that, and then they're like, right, bring them out. And then the U.S. Embassy guys, those boys are lined up, they're standing there. Then U.S. Customs, they come walking up, they're right there, and they're like, all right, get him. And they're just like, and the Mexican guys are like, head down, go. And I just walk with an entourage of guys. Walked across the little zone and right into U.S. Customs, and the rest was history.
They arrested you right there.
They arrested me right there, and then I went into custody, into the United States. And so, like, that was just one. Through my life, I would say.
How long did you do?
Back stateside?
Yeah.
90 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Look, I was wanted for a
parole.
I was wanted
what
for
a deal.
Dude, I was wanted for a parole violation. So the thing about me when I told you, like, they called me the rabbit.
Yeah.
If I had to report to a parole officer and I knew I was going to drop 30, I don't run locally. I run to Mexico. I either run to Los Angeles, I go back to my homies or my brother. You know what I mean? I go back there and I just hide out for a minute, and then I'll hit the border and I go. I've always done that.
You are one lucky motherfucker.
For sure, man, right?
You are one lucky motherfucker.
So I'm just wanted for a parole violation, but when it goes into effect and you abscond and you go far and you can't, then they turn it into a fugitive at large warrant.
Okay.
Right? So the U.S. Embassy, all they see is fugitive at large. For all they knew, I was wanted for capital crimes. But I was just wanted for a parole violation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So your boy almost got fucking murdered in Mexico.
For 90 days.
One of the many times, right? For a 90-day fucking warrant.
Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
This is my life. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes it's been a little bit worse.
Fuck that. Give me the 90.
Right? But I mean, yeah, obviously.
I've done 90. Fuck that.
When I got stateside, finally I was like, okay, yeah, 90, But I tell you what, in the midst of that, when I got back into custody, I have to share this one part. I ended up in isolation over at CRC. Right?
Okay. Yep.
So I'm back at CRC.
Yep.
I'm waiting on parole hearing. They
to
come
go
there.
to your parent institution.
Right, but I'm not going to go there. I'm waiting to do my hearing on location at
okay.
CRC.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So in the meantime, I had I was hoarding gabapentin and shit, right, for my medical. So I was hoarding them, and I had a little hairnet filled with it in my cell, and and I had some cigarettes, right? And and they're smoking in the cell.
Sure.
This was in the unit like C1, C2, C3 unit,
Okay.
right? And
Were you getting prescribed gabapentin?
yeah,
Okay.
but I
And
wouldn't
so
take
you
them.
were
I would
cheeking
save them
them?
up, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
that way I can do a bunch at once. You know how
Yeah.
you do,
Yeah.
get loaded.
Yeah. You take a couple gabapentin and you
Yeah.
feel something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I get busted smoking. Like they didn't really give a shit, but like they just wanted to come in my cell. They come in my cell and they find my gabbies,
Fuck.
and then they cigarettes. They're like, "You're going to the hole." So I go to the hole in CRC. I'm in the hole. I was in that hole for 6 days and 6 nights, and the reason why I describe it like that is I had an encounter with Jesus. Okay, I had a very, very profound, very extreme, insane experience like I've never had before with God. Now I didn't see him, but the glory of him and his presence was present with me in that cell.
I bet.
I didn't sleep for 6 days and 6 nights. Matter of fact, I read the New Testament. It was like a child's elementary school New Testament Bible, and I would just read it. And then at the time, I would sit there and I would look up in the sky, in the ceiling, and I would have a like rapid fire video of my entire life of everything I did in sin and everything I did wrong in addiction and crime and whatever, immoral living. And it was running through my brain rapid fire. And every time I see it, I would say to God, "Forgive me for that, forgive me for that, forgive me for that, forgive me for that, forgive me for that," for hours and days, 6 days straight. I came out of there, went to Unit A2, and anyways, so that was that. Like I was really introduced to like God's real presence
Yeah.
and His purpose and His
Yeah.
plan for me, and that was in 2006.
Okay.
Now to fast forward, I could say just switch gears, about me and my character. You know, these images and these characters that I've had to live to survive. I once said to you in this podcast, like, I would do anything and everything. You know, I would demoralize myself to like the worst form of sin in a human being that you could ever imagine. I'd like to equate that to the Apostle Paul in the Bible. There's a passage in the Bible where the Apostle Paul speaks in a way where he says, when it comes to sin in man, he says he considered himself to be the chief of all sinners. So what he's saying is that there isn't any sin that has been demonstrated through the human being that he hasn't done. And that's why he is chosen for the defense and for the proclamation of the gospel. Well, I'd like to say that I'm somewhat of a small replica of Paul. My lifestyle throughout my life, the years of my living, I have been in the face of sin and wickedness and evil, and have also committed and been involved in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense. Back to what I was saying, for 38 years I said to God, why me? Why would you choose me? Why am I purpose for this life? Why would I be your vessel to save all these different people? Now, there are some things that I have not done, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not shaming any one of these people because it's just an illness. It's an evil, it's a sickness, it's sin, right? But the world, society views certain sins or certain like crimes to be like the worst of the worst.
Sure.
And that's an interesting point to like, one, to humanity, and then two, with the kingdom of heaven and the way God views sin and things, right? I've never been a child molester and I've never been a rapist, right? I've never been a kidnapper of like children and women and things like that, But I remember one time on a prison yard, okay? I'm practicing Christianity, I'm reading the Bible, but I'm straddling the fence. I'm also like, my mind is, in an evil, like, gangster mentality lifestyle. But like, I can feel God tugging on me and pulling me in a direction to like be his representative, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I'm learning all these things, God, but now I just want to practice. Like, show me what it looks like to be a minister, or a preacher. And this story I'm going to share is kind of profound. I'm on the yard in this prison, and I would boxing train in the corner of this yard by myself, and I would pray out there sometimes, and I'd fellowship with God. And the yard's filled with like hundreds of homies, you know what I mean, and people.
Oh yeah.
And this guy's coming around the track in a rolliator, like a handicapped walking like wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this guy in church before, right? And I kind of knew a little bit about this guy's story. He's a child molester. And we've seen each other in church where it's kind of like, you're praising the Lord and stuff, and you kind of hug each other at the end, and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You're just like right there. You're in church, He's coming on the track, and he's walking towards me, and his eyes are right on me. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, yeah, right, bro. I'm like, okay, God, if this is your idea of ministry right now, not this dude. First of all, there's 400, 500, 600 homies on the yard. People already have a perception of me anyways. Like, people talk a lot of shit, like whatever. Like, I already deal with that. What I'm not going to do.
No chance.
This is not going to be my first training.
No.
Please do not kill this guy. This dude is coming for me, God. And I don't know why. And I don't even want to. I'll talk to him in church, like behind the scenes.
Right.
But what I'm not fixing to do is fucking talk to this dude.
On the yard. Fuck that.
And God is like going, I hear you. Guy's getting closer. Finally, he gets right there. Comes across the track onto the grass where I'm at. He turns his rolliator and he's facing me. He's like right in my face. And he looks up and he goes, hey, man. I'm like, what's up, bro? And he says, I seen you around. He says, I seen you in church. And I was like, yeah, I seen you too. What's your name? And he says, whatever. I says, yeah. I says, he goes, you're Drake. And I says, yeah. I said, what's up, bro? And he's like, I don't know, man. I just, and he's shaking. Like this fucking guy's shaking, bro. His eyes are like deers in the headlights, bro. He looks so fucking crushed and sad and afraid, right? And I'm discerning this whole thing, and I'm just brokenness of this man. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, Jesus. And simultaneously, God's going, you asked for this. You asked for ministry. This is what Jesus does.
Here you go.
And I go, what does Jesus do, God? And he goes, first I want to tell you, God says to me, he goes, if not you, then who? And I was like, what does that mean? He goes, Drake, I'm going to ask you one more time. If not you in this moment with this guy, then who? I go, I don't know. Who? He goes, you. Because here's the thing. Society and these wolves and these lions in here, they want to kill him.
Tear him apart.
They want to rip him limb by limb.
Yep.
Your old nature, you'd do the same thing, wouldn't you? And I was like, yeah. He said, but you asked for this. So if not you, then who else out here is going to do this? And I said, well, then do what, God? Who else is going to bring this man to me? Because he needs to be brought to me. He needs to know that he has a savior. And I'm like, okay. Because this is the way this works, Drake. What people don't see behind the scenes in the spirit realm. It takes somebody like this in a sin like that to be redeemed, to be washed, and to be transformed. So he can go back and tell those people to stop doing what they're doing.
Yep.
And change that narrative.
Yep.
And the only way he's going to find out how to do that is if you bring him to me right now. Because that's why he's here.
God.
And this was simultaneous, bro. And I go, okay, God.
Okay.
And if I say no, then God goes, then you just say no. But I will say then you're not ready. Because you're asking for something. And I said, okay. But if I say yeah, he goes, then I got your back. And then you're going to see how powerful I really am. And I go, okay, God, I go, because what I'm going to need to see, the power I'm going to need to see from you, God, is protecting me after this with those boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And most importantly is I'm going to need to see your power over him when he gets done with me and the way he's going to have to live his life.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And God goes, then he goes, God says, then if that's what you want to experience, then this is what you're going to do.
And you're audibly hearing this.
Well, subconsciously.
Yes.
Because that's the way the Holy Spirit speaks through you, is through your subconscious, right? So I says, okay. And then how do we do this? And God goes, you're going to hold his hands.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. You're going to hold his hands and you're going to go into prayer on his soul. Right now. Right here.
Holy shit.
Real time, raw and uncut. This is really happening. And I go, okay, and how do I pray? And God goes, you're going to pray the way I've trained you to pray. And I'm like, okay. I says, hey, bro. He's looking at me, still shivering. He's like, yeah. Now this happens this is all milliseconds of thought and
Yeah.
dialoguing with God and His
Sure.
Spirit.
Sure.
I go, hey. And he goes, yeah. I go, hold my hands. And he goes, okay. And he pulls his rollator close, and his hands are just shaking, bro. And he goes like this, and I'm like, you're okay. And he's looking around. This bro is fucking just looking over at the yard. He's looking at it. And I'm telling you, Lewis, I shit you not. He looks over to the yard, and I look over to the yard, and it's almost like the yard froze. And these fucking guys are looking over at me, and they're just like, and I'm just like, fuck. And like I said, hey. And he goes, what? I go, focus. And he goes, yeah. I said, don't worry about them. We cannot worry about them. God has got us. Grab my hands. We start going into prayer. I'm interceding on this guy. God's telling me how to pray for him, right? I'm praying. I say something like, Father God, in the name of Jesus, right now I come before this child of yours that's devoid of understanding, that has committed some gross, horrendous, crazy sins. And I just pray that you would just take this man's life, and that you would transform him, and that you would get rid of all of this filth, and just restore him and turn him into the child of God that you want him to be. And that this day forward, he goes on and he would go and he would save these guys, and he would turn these guys around, and then he would change the narrative of these child molesters and these people. And in the meantime, while he's growing with you, God, I pray in the name of Jesus that you would surround him with heavenly angels while he's living here. You would protect him, that you would protect me. And I declare and I decree that Isaiah 54:17 says, no weapons formed against us shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against us to judge us is condemned. For this is our inheritance, God, for the saints of the Lord, and our righteousness comes from you. In Jesus' name, amen. By the time we said amen and we broke up, his hands are pouring down sweat in my hands. His head and my head are connected head to head, and we just come off like that. And I just go, you all right? And he goes, yeah. Listen, there's just that one situation, you know, outside of the many situations for God, right, that I get to, that I have the opportunity to,
Yeah.
that I'm blessed to,
Yeah.
I'm privileged to do on the behalf of God's greater plan. Let's flip that coin, okay, in the sense of like this sinful man or woman
Yeah.
on this earth.
Yeah.
I can't even go to my sister's house. She's a full-fledged Christian. I can't go to my sister's house and sleep on her couch because I have committed such sinful living that I am untrustworthy and I am unsafe to be around.
Jesus.
There are countries that will cut your fucking fingers off and your hands. They would destroy your palms if you so much as steal in the community. There are places where a murderer is not going to be socially accepted in. There are places that the drug addicts, the heroin addicts, the meth heads, right, are not accepted.
Yep.
Society has
I know all
a
about
narrative,
that.
brother, where
Yeah.
we pick and choose who is worth being saved, who is worth being salvaged, or who even has the opportunity to even know God. We as men, as humanity, we've created these evil narratives that have been induced by a evil spirit named the devil, Satan, right? That wants to stop any child of God to know God. And even most importantly, he does most of his work with children of God to turn on each other.
Was there any repercussion from this?
No repercussions.
Wow.
None.
Wow.
Now,
That's incredible.
at that moment, no. But my lifestyle, one thing we have to also know, and what I have to know, most importantly, is that the Bible is very clear on the blood, sweat, and tears that the apostles and messengers and prophets of God had to endure for the sakes of the kingdom. It wasn't pretty. These men were imprisoned. These men were killed for righteousness. Okay, but Jesus already said that in this life you will suffer persecution. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. What he's saying is once you saved by me and you're appointed by me, then Isaiah 54:17 is that no weapon. And the definition of weapon means no words, no harm, no danger, no attack is going to prosper against you. It's not going to happen. I can testify to this day that in ministry, since God has changed my life and done a work throughout my life, and I've backslid, bro. I've gone back into addiction. I've preached high. I've
Wow.
saved people's souls to God, loaded in a trap house. sitting in a hotel room by myself, loaded, and a housekeeper knocks on the door. And next thing you know, I'm talking about Jesus. And they just happen to be involved with the cartel and our housekeepers because they have to fucking pay to get their families over or pay the bill for the families that did come over. Jesus. And they needed to know that Jesus still loves them. And I'm sitting there fucking methed out of my head. Why am I talking about the Bible and Jesus? And why is this little señorita, why is this grandma, right? Why is this man that's a housekeeper? Why are they like talking to me? They know I'm in a hotel room living foolish. Why are they listening to me? God does what he wants to do when he wants to do it, and he doesn't need anybody's permission to do it.
Right.
And so that's what gives me a sense of like arrogance and a little bit of ego and pride when it comes to my position for the kingdom, based on my past narrative or like the threats on my life, because I've had threats on my life. I've only given you a couple of those stories.
Yeah.
I have a book of stories where I can say that I have been taking it on the chin.
I am sure you do.
And not for the defense of just the gospel, but even, watch this, even when I wasn't working for God, when I was out there and I had no idea that I was selected for his kingdom, right? There were times in my life, man, where, I'm in situations, obviously, death-defying situations or drug-induced situations,
yeah,
right? Losing my mind, psychosis, where God took me back to those places and times, hundreds of places and times, where I was like, God, I need to know one thing or a couple things for whatever it's worth. He's like, what? I says, were you there in that moment? And God's like, yeah, I was right there too. It's like, you mean to tell me your angels and you were there at that moment when I was even doing that? Because I wasn't even thinking about you then, God, and I wasn't living for you right then. God was like, yeah, I was right there too. I'm like, okay. And I said, so what are we doing now? And God goes, if I was protecting you the way I was protecting you and providing for you and looking out for you then when you weren't living for me, how much more do you think that I got your back now that you do work for me? So that's why I'm fearless. That's why I go out there and I do what I do.
It's
not to this leg.
Oh, to the leg, right.
You ready?
Yeah. We're ready.
Okay, so 2016, I'm thriving in the boxing business. I'm also in and out, been a boxing trainer my whole life and stuff like that. Boxing ministry, mentorship, things like that. Addiction has always taken me out. I've had some great opportunities with some great fighters, young women and men, great coaches, great teams, amazing people, that they don't have addiction, issues and things like that, whatever. I've given like a lot of opportunity, and people have done so many beautiful things for me.
Because of addiction, you've lost opportunity.
Absolutely. I'm that guy where it's like, once I make enough money or,
you're good.
I'm good. It's time to party. I owe myself, a celebration,
a reward,
right?
Yes.
And that's the disease.
Yep.
That's the disease narrative.
Yep.
Right. That's been playing tricks on us.
Talking to you in your head, in
right.
your voice.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Right. So, I not only have I done them a disservice and broke a lot of trust, which I'm remorseful of to this day, and God knows that. And if ever given an opportunity, which I have had to make, amends and apologies, I would do it wholeheartedly, especially if they knew the story, because we all have a story. They can relate so much. I think people, when they accept your apology, when they do that and they accept your amends, they accept it not from a place of face value, right? Because if it was face value, then people would just say, no, fuck you, right?
Right.
But no, I think that a lot of what happens when the momentum of like the transference of like grace is handed over from a person that you make an amends to, it comes from a place, they forgive you from a place that they know that they needed to be forgiven in themselves, right? So they're only giving you something that's been given to them.
Gotcha.
And so they forgive you.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
And then they also say, for whatever it's worth, no, this is truly a divine appointment, right? Because I wasn't expecting you to ever come and say sorry for what you fucking did.
Right.
But the fact that you're doing it is kind of letting me know that the same God that I've been looking for forgiveness from has been doing this with you.
Yep.
So therefore I will say, I accept your apology. Now, whether we go on to be bros or friends or get back into business
they don't
together,
always say, they don't always say, it's all good.
Exactly.
They don't always say that.
Exactly. They don't. But
pay me back my money and we're cool.
And that's also, in ninth step amends is like, there's a financial restitution that you have to make as well, right?
Yeah.
And some people won't even take your money.
Yeah.
It's not that they will say like,
glad
fuck
you're
you.
sober.
Yeah. the thing that they'll accept is like, you know what, the fact that you did that and that you're doing
Yep.
well,
Exactly.
that's payment, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And now, and then later on in life, whether they are like, they will never forget what you did, but most importantly, they will never forget that God did something, right? And that'll always be in some. That's a place inside of all of us that you cannot remove,
Right.
right? So that's why I encourage people to just like, no matter what, just take the next right indicated action. In the words of a famous man, his name is Alan G, right? And I got some bros in my recovery, right? He says, I got to get to God before my head gets to me. And that's a very deep saying that he says.
It really
that.
is.
And there's a lot attached to that. I just learned that from a good bro of mine named Jacob.
I like that a lot.
And another bro of mine named Randy and Derek and Ryan and, Worm, you know what I'm saying? And Chip. And I mean, I can list a lot of guys, but, like that have been very, Mickey and, there's just been some people, that just understands, and I love them a lot. My kids, I'm back in my kids' life. You know what I mean? I'm just starting out doing that,
Fantastic.
Whatever. I have twins that are 14. They're so beautiful. I love them. And they're slowly, evolving and accepting me to be back in their life. I got a 19-year-old, he's just watching from a distance and waiting to see if his dad's going to really stick around.
Is he really going to stick to it?
I have a beautiful daughter. It's my firstborn.
How long do you have sober?
Now I have, I just celebrated, I think I'm on 6 months and 5 days now.
Okay. Congratulations.
Again.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Again means nothing.
Yeah, because like we live it one day at a time.
Yeah.
And there's another thing to that point. Sometimes I'm very careful of telling my sobriety date to someone because, like churches or like well groups, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Recovery and stuff. Sometimes in my experience, I've noticed that people have a lot of time or a little bit more time than you. They like try to little bro you because of the days that you have,
Days don't mean shit.
Exactly.
It's 24 hours of time.
Exactly. So they hit you with these like condescending words and things like that. And you know what they're doing. They're just trying to seek leverage. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay. So what I usually say to somebody is like, look, I could tell you that I have a fucking lot of time, or I could tell you that I have today. And the reason why I can tell you that I have today is that I don't know what tomorrow's going to happen tomorrow. Yep. And yesterday is like history.
I say that all the time. I could have a beer tomorrow.
Exactly. Or I can look at it like in the big book, in like page 86 and 88, where it says, upon awakening, let us, review, reflect. Let us look at the day ahead, like today. Let us look at that. And then it gives a list, a reading where it talks about what you can manage and how you could be the best AA or the best child of God you could be in the moment today.
Yep.
Right?
Just today, right?
Just today.
But
then sometimes there's moments like this where I believe that, I can trust, like the dialogue or the question where I can say, what, he's not asking me from a place of selfishness or pride. He's asking from a place of like, compassion and love and unity.
I want to learn.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, I have a little over 6 months now, thank God, right?
Yeah, congrats.
So anyways, 2016, I forgot. I just
no, you're fine. Right? You're fine.
2016, I'm I'm thriving in the boxing business. I'm a private trainer too, a little bit and stuff like that. I'm doing well. I actually met she's still my wife. Technically, we're on paper as my wife, but I think it's, we were struggling for the past 3 years.
Okay.
It was over 3 years ago. It was sad. It was a lot of my doing. It was some things that she wouldn't address. You know what I mean? She's not one of us, but she's one of us kind of thing, right?
Gotcha.
There's a lot of things going on where it was like, I think I have done so much damage, or a lot of things have happened in the relationship. We've just,
separated.
Right. But I mean, I will never forget, my Catherine. She's my family forever. Her kids and her grandchildren are like family forever. We were together 11 years, man.
Yeah, it's a long time.
This woman was and still is to me, in a place in my heart, one of the most beautiful children of God and women that I've ever met in my life, next to my kids' mothers, in their capacity or whatever. But this Catherine, 11 years, man. And then, like 6 months ago, it was just, it ended, I haven't talked to her, and it hurts me, but I always once told her, I was like, look, if seeing me or waking up to me every day does not bring you joy, I don't want to be selfish and say that you don't deserve joy. And if it's another man of God that needs to come into your life to bless you with that, then I need you to know that it's okay to have that.
You deserve that.
You deserve that, right? And hopefully I can get that too, But anyways, 2016, I'm in this gym and I'm working and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I went for the celebration moment, making a bunch of money. I'm doing well, you know, and I want to celebrate. So I go out and I get loaded again. And I'm back out in the elements, and I'm doing things and and here's the thing. When a child of God decides to relapse or they call it backslide and goes back out into the evil
Yep.
world, right?
Yep.
Well, we have to also remember that just as much as God is living and he's present and his angels are present, well, demons are present as well. And so they're just waiting for you to come walking right back through the door. And when you walk back through the door like I did in 2016, then the game is back on again. It starts back off at a place that it was left. So all those old enemies.
Always.
Right?
Always.
So all my old enemies, all the old evil presence and everything right there is all waiting for me to come back and is right there ready to take flight on me. So throughout my life, it's safe to say that I have created a lot of enemies, the things that I've done,
Yep.
And the way I behaved, as a sinful man, again, a young man that grew up to an old man with an identity crisis through my whole life. And I'm not using that as an excuse to say, okay, the way I did, the things that I did with you guys is justified and it's right and it's okay.
Right.
No, it's not okay because,
No.
there's certain rules you got to fucking play by in these things, right? There's things that you can do and you cannot do that just don't fly, And so, yeah, I've created enemies. The other reason why I've had some enemies is, when I was in prisons, I prided myself to be a leader, And what that looked like is they used to call me the Robin Hood of the prisons. So I would rob the so-called big homies or the bosses, not necessarily rob them, so to speak, like rob them,
Yeah.
but I would fucking take, or I would orchestrate and organize a method and a plan to obtain and acquire, wealth and prosperity, inside of the walls, to feed and nurture and take care of all of the young men
That needed it.
that didn't have shit.
Yep.
Where you got these young guys that are coming off the streets and they commit these crimes. They come in there and their big homies ain't doing shit for them.
Nope.
They don't have parents. They don't have nothing. They can't get a food box. They got nothing.
No phone calls.
No phone calls.
jack
No
shit.
nothing. So here's me, because I've always been a mastermind, since a young age, right? I would orchestrate and devise a plan to provide for the people. Whether you're a Crip, a Blood, an SA, cartel, white supremacist, whites, it fucking didn't matter. It didn't matter. If I knew that you were vulnerable and I knew that you needed it, right, then I would provide. And I would do it in a very methodical and very calculated way. I would get into my character. And I would meet people and match them exactly where the fuck they were. And then I would go ahead and I would find out strategically where your weakness was. And when I find out your weakness, then I would go ahead and I would hone in on it, and then I would flip it, and then I would obtain great success. And then with those the things that I would achieve successfully like that, like Robin Hood, I give it to the fucking people. Then I give you two choices with the people. I either one, say this to the young men or older men. Now you can either one, take this provision and work for me, and some of that work's going to be pretty fucking ugly, and it means that you don't get to make a choice. You're going to have to do shit. Or B, you don't have to, and you can just get an education, or you can do whatever you need to do, get yourself well in here, and go home, right? And in the meantime, while you're here, I'll take care of you. My people and my crew is fucking big, and they're diverse, and they're everywhere. Places that you think that I don't have allies, I got them. And we're talking about prison staff too, bro.
Yeah.
I wasn't just doing it with inmates. I was doing it with
I believe you.
all the way to the fucking warden.
I believe you.
You know?
I'm sure it wasn't hard.
Give people whatever they want to hear. Tell them what they want to fucking hear.
The way you are.
Make them believe what they wanted to believe. But they didn't realize is that I was orchestrating shit. So that way I can move and I can operate the way I wanted to and be most effective the way I needed it to be. Right? And so You know, it's crazy I'm saying it because they're probably guards and shit. They'd be like, yeah, they probably already fucking, they found out. They eventually found out, you know. But, you know, they're like, that fucking guy. That's what the fuck he was doing. It's like, well, you wanted to know what a fucking gangster was, what, didn't you? I mean, you guys were all like mesmerized by like the LA scene, right? So
Yeah,
I just
right.
what I did was I gave them like a short synopsis of what like an LA homie or like a mobster or a gangster or whatever you guys are like
Yeah.
looking up on YouTube or you're like looking at videos, right? And so I just give you what it is that you think you're interested in, right? And I create a story for them to like hold on to and have, and then look at me as like, you know, I'm the fucking man, you know, and
Interesting.
and respect this fucking dude,
Interesting.
right?
Wow.
And all the while, I'm taking care of the people. I'm not taking care of you motherfuckers. I'm taking
Yeah.
care of them.
Yeah.
And also, while I'm taking care of them, they're also getting protected because their homies ain't protecting them.
No.
And I can only be so many places,
Yeah.
right? And my homies and my crew can only be so many places. Well, you know, you got protection.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would do this, and it worked out. It would work out. But the problem also is evil forces, no matter what, even the ones that smile in my face, right? They didn't like that. A lot of them, you know, I've solved a lot of wars in prison, you know, like wars between fucking crews with my mouthpiece, with my intellect.
Yep.
I've stopped so many wars from guys getting fucking knifed on the yard and killed and bludgeoned, fights like just riots. This is truth because of my intellect and my persuasion, the power of persuasion. I would stop that because I would tell them, look, what makes more fucking sense? You fucking guys, we go out there and we bludgeon each other, and then some die, some end up in the hospital, or we end up in the hole, and we get transferred to another place.
You
And
sound like
everything-
me so much.
Right?
You sound like me.
It's dope, right? So, or you don't do this. You keep whatever it is that you got, that you've gained. You keep your green dot numbers. You get your
Yep.
you keep all your monies and shit,
Yep.
all your properties and everything. Like, you don't lose out. You don't lose your visits, and your people don't have to go some fucking where else. You keep all of that, and you just move on, right? And let's say if the penalty means that, okay, instead of like bludgeoning each other, come up with a dollar amount, then tell me what the fucking dollar amount is. All right. You tell me what would be a good enough amount for you guys to have to squash this shit. And they'd be like, some of them are like, fuck that. And the other ones are like, all right, then homie, you know, like, hey bro, then what are you going to give us? And I was like, I'll tell you what. And because I know their value and I know what they want, or I know the connections they need to have, then what I would do is I would just connect the dots, and then I'd go ahead into my own personal shit, and I'd just give them an amount, whatever they want. If it's a number, then I give it to them. If it's
Wow.
then I just give it to them, and then guess what? There you go.
Wow.
Everybody's good,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And then we all all of us go back to being one big happy ass internal family locked up,
Well, as it should be.
as it should be.
As it fucking should be.
And everybody's fucking happy. The guards are happy. Administration's happy. The people are happy. There's no problems. Everything's
Yeah.
moving and flowing back to
Yep.
normal. Everything's good. No
Good for
fucking
you.
problems.
Good for you, dude.
Right?
Jesus Christ. Good for you.
And that's how I did it. You know, same operations in the streets, the same way I did on the inside, but even more strategic. So,
Wow.
creating all these enemies and things, and a lot of lies that came out about me, a lot of different things. Fine, I don't care. Everybody's got things to say about each other. The same guy that's saying that he did this, you're doing that shit too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
These guys are saying, "Oh, hey, bro's a snitch," and it's like, listen, brother, I know for sure 100% you were in a fucking pinch, and homie, you fucking told some shit too, but you're trying to get your crew to look at this guy so your crew doesn't look at you.
Right.
And this is what happens, but it's all evil, right? This is not so much of like people doing this. This is evil.
Yeah.
It's called the manipulation of the mind that is induced by evil, right? It gets guys to turn on each other,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It's called projection, or pin the tail on the donkey, right?
Yeah.
It's classic. Pin the tail on the donkey. Look, I'm just gonna get everybody to look away from me while I look at them,
Yep.
right?
He's the guy.
But the truth is, it's you guys,
Yep.
and it's not just you. It's your homie,
Yep.
or it's your brother, or you're fucking trying to keep your dad's truth. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want your image to look bad, you know? So it's all just like a hypocritical narrative. All of these organizations and everything is all a hypocritical narrative, man. The bottom line is, what I've discovered, coming from a guy like me, is that we're just these underdeveloped children of God that are looking for identity, we're all just trying to find the rescue, the safety net. We're all just trying to make it to the real provision, right? The real substantial like wellness plan based on former narratives. I came up fucked up and poor and broke and addicted. And now I want to make it somewhere where I don't have to be like that anymore.
Yeah.
And how do I get in touch with that? How do I get that? Right? That's what it's all about. And it's a rat race. It really is. And then you got guys that get well, and like even myself included, I've been like this before. You get well, and then you forget where you came from.
Yeah.
You know, and now you start looking down on people.
Yep.
Well, whatever happened to that heart posture?
Right.
Don't you remember when you were broken and you were vulnerable?
Right. You forget so fast.
You got to keep that.
You forget so fast.
It's tough.
It's even sitting at a decade, I forget all the bad times so fast. I mean, dude, a couple years in, I would forget the bad times.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, conversations like this are what make me remember
Yeah.
the bad times.
Yeah. And so like today, okay, so okay, I keep getting away from the story. All right. So I find myself back out there in the elements. I'm with my twins. They're babies. They're in a van with their mom. And we pull up to a gas station, and it's 12 o'clock midnight here in Columbus, Ohio, 2016. And we pull up, and these two carloads pull up. They don't get out. She goes in and gets some soft drinks. We're hustling too. She comes back out, and I says, hey, look, you see those cars? She's like, yeah. I says, they ain't got out of the car, and they keep looking. It's midnight. There's nobody else in this parking lot.
I don't like that.
And she goes, who is it? And I go, I don't know, but let's pull out. And if they follow us,
We got problems.
then we got issues, right? She's like, oh no. And I'm like, okay, let's go. We got the twins in the back. So we take off. They pull out. They go behind us.
Fuck.
So now I go, get on the highway and start hauling ass. She gets on the highway. She starts going. They're on our ass. Two carloads. They're flying behind us. I'm like, they're coming. She's thinking that it's just, it's like, it's frantic, man. It's a lot of shit going on. It's
Yeah.
a lot of,
Oh, yeah.
it's like everything's on 10 inside of this car.
Crazy.
So I says, look, I don't know what's going on. Pull this thing over. I'm going to hop out. I'm going to get my cell phone. I'm going to run through this forest. This is out here somewhere in the, whatever.
Get
I'm
home,
gonna
get safe.
Take the kids, right, go.
Yeah.
And I'll call you because I was very athletic and I can run, I'll get away, hopefully, and then I will call you where I'm at and then come get me. Just take the kids, drop them off at the grandmother's. She's like, no. And I'm like, you have no choice.
That's the option. That's the only option.
So she's like trying to pull over, and before she even comes to a stop, I had already hopped out and jumped out. I tumbled and I fell, and I'm like, go, and she takes off. I hop up and I start running through these woods. It's pitch black. I'm running, and then all of a sudden, two carloads file out of the car, and they're running, and they're chasing me through this
In Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, middle of the night.
What the fuck?
I don't know who it is, but I know it's on. So I'm running, and I'm going, and I'm falling. It's dark out there. I'm running. I can hear them. They're getting close. What I didn't realize, Lewis, is that I was running in a U-turn back to the highway, right? I didn't know this. So like a hunter is in a deer stand looking down on his prey.
Yeah.
They can see me and coordinate as I'm running. So they're letting their homies know on the road that I'm coming back out. Okay? I don't know this is happening. I'm running for my life. As I'm running out, I look back, I look forward, and a car, them, run me over in the car. So they run me over. I go underneath the car. The front of the car tires crush my right leg. I look, I can remember like it was yesterday. I look and I see the back tire coming like to run me over. But because of the way the car ran my front leg over, the car kind of like skipped over and just missed me. And I'm like, I got mangled. And it goes down and skids to a stop. My head gets blasted open. I'm busted open. My leg is mangled. It's on fire. My body is under some pain like I can't describe.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I'm freaking out. I'm screaming. I'm just full of adrenaline, full of pain, just in rage.
You can't move.
I can't actually. I can only I'm trying to hop up on my, so to speak,
your
good leg.
Good leg.
and I'm still trying to get away, and I feel this person grab me from my back, my belt, and pulling on me, and she is yelling. I can remember her voice. She is yelling at the dude that's getting out of his car, that with his pistol, coming up, getting ready to finish me, and I'm screaming at him, "Please no!" And I'm saying, "Let me go, stop!" And I'm screaming, "Help! No, please don't do this! Don't do this! Don't do this!" And I look down, and there's a fucking guy. Can't make out his face. He's got a fucking saw, and he's sawing my leg, trying to cut it off. And I'm screaming, "No!" And I'm like, "Let me go!" And I'm screaming, and this is all happening. And then all of a sudden, these people out of nowhere, cars on the highway, stop. And people get out of the car and they start going, "Oh my God, has there been an accident?" I'm like, "Help, please help." And lights off. I just went out right there.
You went out.
Yeah. And they revived me in the hospital. I wake up in the hospital in the ER.
Wow.
I got a cage on my leg bolted into my...
To this day, do you know who these people are?
Nah. But I'll get to that point.
What the fuck?
All right. So I wake up in the hospital. The long story short of my care in the hospital, and, listen, big love and admiration and respects and gratitude towards OSU Wexner Medical Center. I lived in that hospital for almost 6 months.
I bet you did.
Fighting for my life.
I bet you did.
And with a mangled leg trying to be restored. 18 surgeries on the same leg.
God
on
damn.
my body. I was on Dilaudid shot, morphine. I was on Percocets. I was on oxycodone. And I'm not an opiate user or a pill user.
Yeah.
Right? But damn, brother.
Whew.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah. It's something else, huh?
I'll tell you what. Every time that little Dilaudid green little thing would light up, you just push it.
Boop.
And it gives you a dose.
Yeah.
And it would hit that chest, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, fuck, that feels so
Fuck,
good.
yeah.
And listen, OSU, the reason why I'm so grateful for them, and Dr. Laura Pfeiffer and Dr. Sullivan and my plastic surgeon, they put me in, at the time, brain and spine. The brain and spine section at OSU was just being built, and they had a couple wings open. They put me in a corner room that was the size of like 3 of these. Right, 86-inch TV, man. The food is great. I had top-notch treatment for those months living in there, and they took care of me. Dr. Laura Pfeiffer is like the head surgeon, right? Sullivan, like these are like.
God, you are a lucky son of a bitch.
I'm telling you, man.
You are a lucky son of a bitch.
And I'll never forget Dr. Pfeiffer is looking at me with her team, and she's like, "Hey, Drake," and I'm fucking like, they're like, "You have to know that we are going to do everything in our power in this hospital to save your life, restore your life, and help you." And I'm like, "Okay. But listen, man, you got to get sober. You need to get sober. You need to stop living the way you're living.
Or it'll take your life."
You're a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
The way you came to us, when we see this man, and the thing is who is this guy? What's this guy's story? And we're here to help you. And that was all God. And I'm like, okay. And so I have to tell you, I like to say that after that, going through that I, I didn't look back and I started living a good life. But I didn't, brother. I got addicted to those opiates. I was on hydrocodone and Norcos.
Yep.
Like 5-10 milligram.
They're great. That was my favorite.
Right?
Opiates are my favorite.
Amazing, right?
They're fucking amazing.
And I've never been really a pill head, right? But I love them.
God damn, they're good.
Oh, they're fucking good, right? So I'm on a cane. My leg that can't bend. I'm still going through, occupational therapy, physical therapy to like give me some range and motion to get my knee to bend. I mean, it was insane going through therapy to try to bend my shit. I would quit. I'd be like, therapy's over right now. We're done. And so I had as needed, so I can go to the pharmacy and get scripts. And I would get 180 at a time.
God.
And,
damn.
My situation, they trusted me with that because I'm not an opiate user.
Right.
And I have a legitimate
situation. And you've got
situation.
a legitimate situation going on here.
So I'm drinking Red Bulls just to like even me out.
Yeah.
And I'm going to AA meetings. I would show up to the fucking AA meetings with a cane, and I'm on
You're prescribed.
I'm on Norcos, but I'm feeling great though.
But
right?
you want to get better.
I did want to get better,
And that's the number one rule.
that's true, right? Because yeah, exactly. So the thing is when I got on those, I was sending in scripts, and I found this girl that said that there were people that wanted to buy Norcos, the Vikes,
Yes.
and I was like, oh, well, how much are those things going for? And she's like, oh, I can get you anywhere from $10 to $15 a pill.
They're expensive now.
And
yeah.
I said, oh, are they really?
Yeah, they're expensive as fuck.
So I'm like,
You used to be able to get those for like $2 a pill.
oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, no, she was like,
I could
10.
get 30s for 12.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, man, so of course the hustler in me, I'm like, well, might as well make a little bit of money now, So I'm selling them, and I'm like running out of my script. So long story short, I was getting the doctor to write scripts to go to pick them up at CVS or Walgreens, and Walgreens red flagged me. The DEA red flagged me because I was taking advantage of my prescription.
Oh.
So now I can't get them. So now I'm back out in the races again. I'm out there
Fuck.
smoking crack, man, to ease the pain, snorting coke to ease the pain, drinking, trying to do this, just like because I can't get.
You can't get what you need to.
I wouldn't do Percocets and I wouldn't do Oxys because they were too strong.
Yeah.
Right. So I just wanted my Norcos, but I couldn't find them. So one night, I'm doing dope, and I'm getting loaded, and I run out of money, and nobody wants to give me anything, and I need to get something else. I need to get more dope, and I says, all right. So on a cane, can't walk. I went into Out of the Hood in Grove City. Okay, I was in where Urban Crest is, right?
I do.
Okay, so I was at a dope spot. I says, I'll be right back. So I hobble all the way over to this Subway sandwich place. They just opened their doors because they just started doing breakfast sandwiches, right?
Okay.
I go in there. They know me because my kids are from the area. So they know me. They've seen me before. I walk in there and I see the two girls. I come in there, hobble in, and I says, hey, I need a favor. I need help. I need like $25 and I'll get you back. They're like, we don't have any money on us. And I says, oh. I says, okay, well, I just came a long ways in pain, dope sick, from like crack, and my body's in pain.
Yeah,
and I'm not taking no for an answer.
You're hurting.
Right. So I said, okay. All right, girls, I'm sorry I'm going to have to do this, but open that fucking register. And they said, what? And I said, open it. Step back. I'm really sorry that this is about to happen right now, but I need to have this money. So you need to open up that register and then turn around and you guys just go in the back or some shit. I don't know. Just leave. Okay? I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do anything. Just open the fucking register. They're like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I was like, I am not fucking kidding you right now. I'm dead ass serious. I asked you for $25. You wouldn't even give me $25. I'm so fucking sorry that I got to do this. But like, look, all I know is that I got to have it. So just please open that fucking register, please. And they're like, you're fucking crazy, man. Because they're looking at me like, bro, we know who the fuck you are. You don't even have a mask on. And, I'm sure that's what was going through their head. And
yeah.
I knew. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah, you didn't care.
I reached in there. I just grabbed a fistful of money. And I hobbled. Look, man, the funny thing is, if they would have came around the counter and just pushed me over, I'd have fell over. That's the funniest part, man, is all they had to do is be like, bro, fuck you.
Whoop.
And just like, bitch, like, I would have been like, oh, shit, damn, fuck. And, but they did it. They're like, you're fucking insane.
Oh, my God.
So I did that. And that Grove City has the fastest response time, right? By the time I got to the door, sirens they're on their way.
Jesus Christ.
I made it across Broadway, get to the beginning of the Urban Crest, and I'm going through there. I get to a yard. I climb up on it. I lost my cane. I flip over this fence. I'm landing these bushes. I military crawled and hopped on one foot and military crawled all the way up 3 alleyways to the back to the dope
trap.
house. Yeah. Go in there. Anyways, I get popped at the end of that day by Grove City SWAT team in the middle of Home Road and Broadway, like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
So you got what you needed, but
yeah.
At the end of the day,
yeah, absolutely,
you got popped.
And then I get popped, and then I got sent to the county, and then I went off to prison.
So on and so forth.
And then I got released 2020, which was the last time I'd ever been locked up. I made it off parole, this and that. Now, that's just a glimpse of like, you know, the desperation of an addict.
I get it.
You know,
I get it.
we will go to grave lengths.
Any lengths.
Any lengths, right? And that's just been my life story with the whole thing that I shared, you know, on this podcast. You know, is I'm a guy named Drake that didn't have any identity and didn't understand what even that fucking looked like, starting at the age of 7 or maybe 5, when I looked in the mirror and I saw my skin complexion and I saw my parents, and had no idea how to understand, how to comprehend, or how to even just be present in life. You know, the reason why I have created so many enemies, not so much as it being a human being, I always have to say that, being my enemies.
Yes.
It's just simple. The devil, demons, they will reside and they will take space in a human being that has an area of weakness or underdeveloped, right, identity.
Such as those guys who pulled up on you that night.
Correct. And their only assignment is to carry out missions for the evil, right, to others. Okay. And so a lot of my enemies that I've had, or the attacks that I've experienced, is it's not really personal. Some of it's personal and some of it isn't personal.
Some of it's a job.
It's just a job because it's the assignment of the devil. It's the assignment of evil. It's the assignment of evil that just wants to whack a child of God that decided to jump back off the, you know, like go back over the wall.
To the other side.
Go back over to the other side.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, we get attacked. That's why these things happen, is because I decide to go back over there again. And as long as you keep doing that, then there's going to be, the results are going to be what they're going to be.
They're going to be the same.
So, you know, all the attacks, and there are some people that I can remember their faces, and there's some people that I can't, you know. At the end of the day, you know, evil really doesn't have to take it doesn't have to have a face, you know. It doesn't have to have a name to it.
Right.
Right? They're disguised by many, many different things. And the only way that I'm going to experience that, or I'm going to like see that in full view, is if I decide to go over there. So what my life looks like today, and I'm so grateful, you know, one, I want to say, you know, thank you to you and your partner.
Of course.
And this podcast, Get a Grip podcast, you know.
Of course.
I'm super grateful. I get the opportunity to do this because, you know, I take the next right indicated action. I get to God before my head gets to me. I have a morning routine. I get on my knees and I pray. I make my bed because that's a sense of responsibility to show up in life, right? I do a gratitude list. I write down some things that I'm grateful for, that God has done, who he is, or what people are doing in their lives, or maybe send a sentiment out to someone that I see that is thriving or that may be going through a difficult time. I give a testimony on things that I'm really proud of, that I'm grateful for, that I'm hopeful for, right? And I write that in there. I might put a Bible scripture at the bottom, and I put a passage out of the big book down there. I'll put a song that's inspiring me for the day or the moment or whatever. I put that there, and I send them out. There was a time that I was sending out 87 gratitude lists to 87 different people in recovery.
Wow.
And I'll read 87 different gratitude lists.
Wow.
And when I do that, that starts my day. That helps me, give me a sense of real identity.
That's above and beyond, my friend.
You know,
that is above and beyond.
It gives a guy like me a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
The best belonging that I've ever have had in my life. Today I have an identity. Today I have a sense of worth. I have a sense of value. I have meaning. I have fucking purpose in my life today, right? I have direction. I take direction. I'm learning and growing in the levels of humility. You know, I get to be a productive member of AA, you know, church or society, business.
Yes.
Opportunities like this, sometimes they surprise me and they shock me in a way where it's like, these are my aha moments, man. Like, these are my like epic, you know, moments of my life. to come on here and do something like this, or to go out there and tell a person at the gas pump, hey man, you know what? I don't know what's going on, but I just feel like you need to know, him or her or children, God loves you. Or what's wrong? You know, are you okay?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden something just starts to unfold. A dialogue begins to happen where, you know, now I know like I'm right in the middle of this thing, right? I'm in the middle of the boat and I'm on smooth seas.
Right where you need to be.
Exactly right. And even through the storms, I'm learning now through the storms that I'm supposed to smile at it and be joyful at it, right? And be like, you know, I don't know how to say it, like appreciative of like that as much as I'm appreciative of.
One thing I can relate to what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
I think to put it into perspective, is I lost my dad to cancer
Okay.
a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that was awful. But I was sober. And I
Okay.
got to be there for him
Right
the
on.
entire time.
Yeah.
I was there for him. I got housekeepers for him. I was there when he was in the hospital for days on end.
Oh yeah.
If I wasn't sober, buddy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing any of that shit.
Right.
I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah. That's
You know?
amazing. Yeah.
And I got to because I was sober,
Yeah.
you know?
And that's the
So,
juice,
Yeah.
you know? I guess that's pretty much the last thing I'll say to close this is, you know, this is an amazing life that we all get to wake up to, you know? And if I was to share anything to anyone in recovery or someone that is afraid to come out of darkness, any man, woman, and child right now that is afraid, very scared to tell their story, tell it.
Yeah.
Share it with someone. If God can save and redeem many men and women and children such as myself to be alive and to tell it, then he surely can do it for you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He can do it for you. He will do it for you. He's always right there. And so I can boldly say that I know who my Savior is. His name is Jesus. He's my King. I know who my Father is. His name is God. I know who my Comforter is. His name is the Holy Spirit. He's my teacher. And I know who my messengers are and the protectors, which are the kingdom's angels. And I get to experience that through men and women and children living as they express the glory of God or the essence or the fragrance of God through their existence, on how they like smile at you or how they may talk to you or how they accept you into the room or how they give you that hug,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I want to throw this one more thing in. This last thing is this. We as men, we have also a very big assignment as well.
Yep.
I mean, we have a duty to God, right? As men, right? Me, man of God. But let us not forget the women. Okay. You know, women were created out of a man's rib. So they were actually created from an already existing human being. So there's a oneness to this existence between man and women. There's no like contrast, like separation or division or difference. Yeah, genetic, like you know, you get what I'm saying, right?
Yes. Yes.
The point I'm making is that, you know, women are seers. They can see. And when I say see, it's not so much as through the lenses of their eyeballs. They can see through their heart and their soul.
Yeah.
They have a lens into the deeper parts of like humanity or the being that a man
We don't have.
cannot see.
We don't have.
So the reason why we compliment our women and why we protect them and that we comfort them and we acknowledge them is because without them and their gifts and their ability to see what they see and know what they know, it doesn't give us confirmation on our assignment. We have to know our assignment, and a lot of times God will speak that assignment through the woman's innermost self, right? To pass that message, relay that information to us, because then we go out and we take it on the chin, and we take it on the elbows, and we'll do that dirty work, and we'll be those soldiers, and we'll go out there. Now, women can do that too, because we see that.
Sure.
And
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why we see that is because when a man of God steps out of his position, then the woman has to take form of man and woman. That's why you see single mothers, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, the other thing is that women are also vulnerable in a sense where they have a nature about themselves. They have a beauty about themselves, right?
Yeah.
That's far different than anything we'll ever see, you know? And so we have these immoral evils out there that are taking advantage of women, right? And want to use them for that beauty.
Yep.
And so when women are very vulnerable and they're broken without the guidance or the support or the protection or the like comforts or the confines of a man,
Yeah.
right? Then they're like an open target. So we have sex trafficking. We have all these things that are going on.
We've had trafficked women on. It's horrible.
It's right?
Horrible, some of the shit we hear.
Absolutely. And so it's a shout out. There's these women that I've gotten to know, some of them, they're called butterflies, and they exist here in Columbus, right? And it's an organization, it's a movement of women, right, that empower one another and like keep each other.
Absolutely.
You know? And so
Absolutely.
our duty as a man, with just not just like with the butterflies, but many of them worldwide, you know, is that it's time to man up and for us to, you know, assume our positions. You know, let us not forget who's also there, right? The children are also there, right? But we have to remain in position, man.
Dude, I am so proud of you.
Thank you, man.
Like, genuinely from the bottom of my heart, so proud of you. And I what you've been through, I have no words. For you to be sitting here in this chair today is a fucking miracle. Bottom line, it is an absolute fucking miracle. And to get the chance to interview you, I feel blessed.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for everything,
I
dude.
appreciate
Seriously,
it.
thank you.
Awesome.
That's
All right.
it.